So yeah, that's the major thing. Home when you were little. Okay, that was in fifth grade, about 2000 when I ran away from home. Okay, got you. All right. So we're on live on Facebook and we're on TikTok. Um, KB, thank you. Woe Creations, thank you. I see you on. LaShannon McDuffie, I see you on. All right. All right, Facebook, make sure you let me know if you are able to hear me and by extension hear our guest for tonight, because I have these little issues with sound and I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because this computer that I use tends to be crazy sometimes. That's why. But the sound should be working now. And I'm looking for my other computer. Oh, there it goes. All right, I'm seeing y'all coming in. I'm seeing you coming in. Now, listen, last night I only intended to be on here 2 hours and I wound up on here 3. We're going to try not to do that tonight. My phone, it keeps going, but I appreciate the support. I appreciate the support because we can't do nothing with anything that's not supported. So thank you so much. All right. All right, so on TikTok, we have an individual who I'm going to allow to introduce themselves. Facebook, please let me know if you're able to hear, because I can't see any comments. So if someone comment, make sure that you let me know you're able to hear. Our guest is going to introduce. Oh, okay, Melanie, got you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Our guest is going to introduce himself, and I'll just let him kind of start where he wants to start, and we'll go from there. All right? Go ahead, sir.
All right. Hopefully everyone can hear me. For those of you that don't know, my name is Tyrone. I am a junior. If you want to put 2 and 2 together about what's been going on, I'll let you figure that one out. But I grew up in that cult. I was brought there by the age of 5, there in Alcalá, South Carolina. Of course, I was not given a choice. I was forced to by my father, who a lot of people may know, and a lot of the customers that rent from him actually seen me, and I used to run the company. So I'm sure a lot of you that hear my voice that are customers of him probably recognize it. But it's a long journey, I can say. I've been in the cult for 20 years, from 5 to 25, and the abuse, I can say it was the number one factor in that cult, and that's for us. Money was their number one factor for anybody that wanted to, invest in it. But I can say that everything that's been going on lately, it's not false. The testimonies that Pastor Long has been telling you guys, it's not false. I'm one of maybe, 18, 19 men that left the cult?
Yep. Yeah.
And honestly, I never thought I was going to make it out.
Yeah. We didn't get to talk about that too much. We're going to try and talk about it tonight. Go ahead, though. I'm not going to interrupt. I'm going to try not to.
Oh, I don't mind. And if anybody have questions on the other stream, I don't mind answering. But if any type of abuse that you can think of, I've experienced it. And not only have we all got beaten in front of each other, I've also experienced some abuse that a lot of people did not know about. My father definitely went too far with a lot of his discipline, as he would call it. And I would like to paint a picture for those that are listening, even though sometimes it is hard to talk about because I still get nightmares from it, even as a kid. In 2nd grade, the first time I've ever experienced the abuse I was in second grade, and I remember, if you could picture a black folding chair and a second grader going in between that black folding chair, being handcuffed to the legs of that chair, had my legs duct taped together by my ankles, and a strip of duct tape put over my eyes so I could not see. I remember the time where this started. It was near 7 p.m. on a weekday, all because I failed a math test that I thought I was prepared for, and I'll give the backstory to that. We were learning our multiplication. I'll never forget this. We only had to learn 1 through 6. My father forced me to learn 1 through 12 when I did not need to know that.
Yeah.
Now, he would not take accountability for forcing me to learn information I did not need to know. And of course, I failed the test. So, to speed you back up to the abuse starting, being handcuffed and duct tape, I had to count to 100 for each hit that he gave me. Mind you, if he asked me a question, I had to answer it within a certain time, or I had to start over from 1 with the hits. If he didn't like the answer, I had to start over from 1. If I took too long, or if he just wanted to, I had to start over from 1. I never actually said 100 that night. I won't forget that. And he abused me with a paddle, extension cord, his police baton, and by the time he was done, you could see patches of white flesh on my body as a second grader.
So if someone asks, which kid is this? His name is Tyrone, and he is a junior. And he was a part of helping run a business that we've talked about, if you can put 2 and 2 together. Well, I'll tell you what. They won't sue him. Let him come after me. His father owns the bounce house business in Appaloosa, South Carolina. And he escaped about 2 or 3, what was it, 2 or 3 years?
It's 6 years now.
Oh my
February
goodness.
25th, 2020 is when I finally left.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to break in. I just wanted to clarify for someone who asked. Tegan, whoever this last name is, yes. The answer to that is yes. Go ahead, sir, and continue your story.
Oh, I'm Miss Big Soul. I'll be 31 this year. But I was in the cult for 20 years. I left when I was 25. But after he was done abusing me, he poured peroxide and alcohol over my body and threw me in the shower. Mind you, the water hurt as it touched my skin because of the white flesh that was showing. And again, I remember when he started that night, it was close to 7 p.m., but once I got out the shower and I looked at the time, it was after 11 p.m. So 4 hours I had to endure that as a second grader. That wasn't the only time, just the first time. And I was taught to lie. We were still in public school at the time, so if anybody asked why I was walking a certain way, I had to tell them that I was riding my bike and I fell off. But I could never tell on him. And honestly, second grade, I dealt with it. Third grade, by the time I got to the 5th, they opened up the private school, so they didn't have to worry about people asking questions.
Yep.
And yeah, it was just, after that, it was full game. They could interrupt your class because it's the cult leader school, so if they wanted to use you as a punching bag, they just did it. I mean, it was chaotic. And even at this age, I still deal with the trauma. That's something that'll never go away. Even though they are going to lie, as you guys can see on Facebook, they're going to lie, they're going to try to omit, but they will never omit what happened. They would try to always do something for you in the cult to where that was their form of an apology. But they will never see that they've done anything wrong. It's, oh, we did this and that for you, as if it's supposed to make up for the abuse. And not for nothing.
I see individuals coming on. Okay, let me go on and warn you. I see you. You gonna get what you're looking for. So if you're coming for the wrong reason, just don't come with the hoorah, cause you're gonna get what you're looking for. Y'all don't rule this domain. I do. So let me go on and make that clear, cause I see different names coming up on here. I promise you, don't come with the stupidness. Go ahead, sir.
And not only that, it's just, yes, they are going to, you're going to see posts about how they sent us on trips and they did this for us and that for us. And honestly, again, just because somebody spends money on you does not give them the right to treat you any kind of way.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. Mother. So your mother did. My mother didn't raise me. My mother did not raise any of her children. My birth mom, anyways. I've never known the presence of a mother's love, and I definitely didn't get love from my father with all the things that I've been through. But yeah, she didn't raise any of her kids, and I was cut off from all of my family once I was brought to the cult. I was forced to cut them off, and if I ever asked to talk to any of them, well, the abuse just continued. So after a while, I just stopped asking, and I never really saw my biological family unless I ran into them in public, which was very rarely because they didn't want you to talk to anybody that wasn't in the cult. So.
Lady L, you asked, do they have a Facebook page where they're posting to? We're going to talk about that in a bit because a post was put up today directed to me. And that was this letter that was addressed to me, that was sent to me, was put up by one of the individuals who are very influential in this whole construct. So we'll get to that. Someone says, so he experienced all forms of abuse. Does that include sexual? Sorry if that's intruding. That question is on Facebook.
Oh, no, never experienced sexual abuse. Thank God. But yes, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual hell, I have experienced it all. So being in that for 20 years is definitely a toll. And honestly, okay, how is she as a person? To answer your question, Ms. Tegan, she, at first in the beginning, it wasn't a good relationship. I mean, not because it was like horrible, it's just little petty stuff that she used to do. But once I graduated and got a little older, we connected a little more. Even till this day, like, I don't have any animosity against her. She never tried to abuse me at all. Even though she could have, seen who she was married to. But no.
And one of the things that often get me, I said this last night about her. Where all the kids, where all them kids went is my question. So, please clarify. Are you speaking of the kids that were a part of this cult? Clarify your question. Tara, one of the things that often got me about her that gets me a little bit annoyed is that she was not born in. So many of us were a part of this for years and years. I was born in. So this whole thing is precipitated by my mother, who was in it for 37 years. By the time we got to South Carolina, she had been in it. I was 8 years old, so she had been in the church 9 or 10 years. But in regards to your father's wife, she had a whole normal life before meeting your father. And for me, it's this whole thing of you capitulated to becoming what the rest of them were, although you had exposure to what was normal and knew that this wasn't right. That's one of the things that grieved me about her.
Yeah, and I really don't understand that. Honestly, she could have been a professor at the college she graduated from, and she chose otherwise. I don't understand that at all, but hey, to each their own. But other than that, I can say, like, as time passed, even though the abuse was still there, thank you. Even though the abuse was still there, as I got older, I can honestly say, and yes, I'm sure some of them are listening.
Yeah, I've seen some of the names popping up.
I was about 14, maybe 15, when I was fed up with the abuse. I did not leave, of course, but I got sick of him having, I'm not going to state his name, but, I'll say his last name, Jackson. I know Pastor Long knows who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I got sick of my father having him hold me down after I got, a little older. And I did not know that this was not a real gun, and I was not trying to kill anybody. But I got a BB gun, and I loaded it, and I shot towards my father just to see if, he would stop abusing me. No, of course, I didn't want anybody to die. I just wanted him to stop or to experience the pain that he was inflicting, because it's it was an ongoing process of him with this built-up anger, always wanting to take out his anger on someone, and
yeah.
So it's you need to see a specialist to get your anger treatment. I'm not your punching bag anymore, and I shot. He had to get stitches, of course, and we actually had a conversation about it later. And then he showed his true colors in a split second as we were talking about the abuse and everything that he was causing, and the fact that I shot him. Within a split second of talking, he looked like a raging bull and started abusing me again. And honestly, that's when I started lifting weights, because I felt like if I got maybe as big as he did, I would have some type of fighting chance. But after a while, he definitely stopped putting his hands on me. Physical abuse started going to mental abuse, emotional abuse, trying to embarrass me or belittle me in front of people.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was a lot.
So you mentioned, and I thought about this when we first talked about when you said you wanted to come on, and I wouldn't have brought it up if you didn't. But you mentioned a second ago about the individual holding you down. And I can remember being in the house that was called the bed and breakfast, and you got in trouble for something, and you were being beat, and he had us, one holding your legs, one hold one leg, one hold the other leg, and two of the other boys holding your arms while he was beating you. I would not have brought that up, except, and the only reason I'm saying it is because of the fact that you are, I'm going to attend to the question here in just a second. I mentioned it because you just mentioned being held down. I didn't want to bring that up and what have you. So the question that keeps running through my head after realizing how far this reaches are, do they have connections with local law enforcement? Do they have people in the fold with high-ranking positions in the community? That's another one of those hard questions to answer. So they are connected to people in power. Now, there is something I just recently seen that I had in a file that I printed 3 or 4 years ago that I forgot about. And I will say you can go online and you can type in the name of the individual who run. Well, I'm not going to do it like that. You can go online and you can search Dwayne Johnson Sr. and check his arrest record out for yourself. I can tell you that there are a number of things for which he has been charged and in jail, arrested for, what have you. But interestingly enough, it's always dropped. So that was odd to me. I noticed it, but I forgot about that file, and I forgot about that sheet that I had until it was recently brought back to my attention. Right away, her kid, I strongly believe, came from this. They said they were going to pray for her, but instead they yeah, yeah, yeah. I know that situation that you're talking about as well. Keosha, God, I know what you're speaking of as well. But yeah, and so the reason why Tyrone is on here talking is because one of the narratives that are that's trying to be pushed is is that I'm lying. Now, interestingly enough, I'm not the only one who has spoken out in regards to even people who I didn't know who've seen things and said things. Yet, it keeps being that people are posting things attacking me for. Now, I'm cool. It don't bother me at all because I didn't just start this journey. I've been speaking out. As a matter of fact, in the next few days, you'll see screenshots coming where I started this really officially online 3 years ago, where I blew the whistle. And that's when a lot of these names that I'm seeing come up on TikTok right now blocked me and tried to get me off of their social media and whatnot. And the individual, Faith Johnson, who wrote me that letter, started posting all of these pictures with my mother and grandmother and said on the post they can be very antagonistic when they want it. Oh, they having a good time enjoying their family and friends. To which I commented on the picture and said they can't be with family because they have no family over there. I have screenshots that will be made available within the next day or two. I just got to go to my archives and pull them out. So these things are not, there's no reason for these to be made up. As far as your grandmother, will they not let her leave? So, Angel Walker, it's not a matter of because Saturday nobody was really there to stop her. What it is that although she has told me out her mouth that she wants to be with family, blah, 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 her fear for them is more intense than her love for us. And I tried to be very careful with talking about the things that I talked about in private with my grandma. Because the thing is, 3 years ago, my grandmother would sneak and call me when I was on the way to work, because I used to drive bus at the time, and I would be on the school bus between dropping children off at the school. We parked at one school for a while, and we would talk every morning around about 7 o'clock from 7 to 7:30. She wasn't supposed to be talking to me because the preacher had told her she's not allowed to talk to me. I was a problem child, blah, 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 whatever. But we would talk. And I hate to even divulge this because of the fact that I know they're watching. I know they're going to try. They're going to say, that's not true, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. But the other thing is they're going to say something to her about it. And so, but I told her Saturday, at this point, there is no limit there's no boundary that I will not cross in order to try and solve this issue. So she used to call me and talk about a lot. She said to me, don't let me die down here and get buried the way others have gotten buried. And so Saturday, I didn't think to go live when she was laying in that bed, chewing on her fingernail, saying, please just go. I don't want no more trouble. Now, no more trouble? No trouble has even started yet. And I said to her, the trouble is going to start when they find out that mommy's gone and that mommy packed up her whole room and you just didn't see anything. Now, she did not know. She didn't know because I told my mother, make sure you don't tell grandma until you are walking out the house because she will call somebody and tell them and it'll spoil everything. So it's not a matter of let as much as it is. She's deathly afraid of this man. And for those that are on TikTok that are watching, let me remind you of how you used to feel when he walks in the room and the whole room gets quiet and everybody got to say, "Hey, Ella Johnson," and if you don't speak, you're slapped in the face or you're fussed at and fussed out. So don't come acting like this stuff is crazy, because we all knew that it wasn't right, knew the fear, knew the intimidation, and knew what it felt like to be at the hands of his wrath. A report for elder abuse has been submitted, and I am too worried about the well-being of my grandmother, particularly because now at this point, all of the ugly details are starting to come out. But, Tyrone, did you have anything else?
Honestly, to piggyback on if he did walk into a room and he didn't speak, it was just, that was that narcissistic behavior. As if he was like God himself. Like, I don't have to. It made no sense. It's like, almost like bow down to him. And honestly, you would smell his cologne before.
Yeah, the cologne. So Jesus
like,
Christ.
Automatically, it's like a fear that just comes into you because of that's what they embedded into us with all that abuse and everything.
Yeah.
But if you didn't even do anything wrong, it's like as soon as you felt his presence,
yep.
automatic fear.
And to your point about the cologne, I remember I was grown, gone. I was out of there at this time. I was working, and the first job I ever had, I got a job working with a company doing floor maintenance, stripping and waxing floors and all of that. And we had a contract with all of the SCENGs in South Carolina with this company for which I worked. And at the SCENG on Garner's Ferry in Columbia, I don't know who in that building wore whatever it was, and we worked at night. So nobody, the other speaker is named Tyrone Brusford. He's the son of the individual that owns the Bounce House business. I don't know who wore whatever they wore, but that scent was so heavy that even at night, nobody's in the building but those of us who are doing floor maintenance and all of that. And I hated working on that side of the building because the smell of that cologne would remind me of, I told you all last night, when I'm called into a meeting, I can't even sit and have a conversation because the whole room is spinning. All of that would start happening all over again on Garner's Ferry in Columbia in the middle of the night, and Ella Johnson is nowhere around. So that domineering presence that he talks about is absolutely the case. It's the truth. And it didn't just affect children. You could see adults change their demeanor when he comes around. Misty Dawn Haney Scott asks, have you heard anything from that clan since you came out with their abusive behavior? Yes, a letter was written today and addressed to me by his sister. And we're going to talk about the letter. We're going to have a conversation about that letter. There have also been, I will say, there have also been other individuals who have posted, but they are not necessarily even a part of the day-to-day operations in Alcaloo, so I don't understand why they would think they have a dog in the fight. Someone said, can Elder fight? That's all I need to know. I would not answer that. I don't please, let me go ahead and say this because we got to be very, I'm not saying be careful because we're scared. Okay, so Isaiah, Zay Santana is on. And he's saying, let me pin the comment. Everybody used to be scared of him. Everybody knew it wasn't right. The intimidation tactics, tell Tyrone, Isaiah said was good. Glad everybody got away. I still see some of our age groups still pretending none of this, he said a cuss word, none of this stuff is true. I think my adopted mama was scared of him, but it was something that was said to her to the point she went from us staying the rest of our high school years there to immediately taking the rest of my household back to public school.
I remember when they all got pulled out.
Yeah, and I don't know if I was gone by that time or what. I was not there.
Gone.
Okay, cool. So I wasn't there when the Felder Boys was a part of the day-to-day operations in the school or what have you. But the reason why this is important, first of all, let me say this, and I need us to understand. I didn't start this to go viral. That was not the intention. Because what's about to be the case and what's going to be said, and it has already been said actually, his cousin said, I just need attention. I have too much to do with my life to be sitting on live recounting trauma. Who wants to sit here and remember this young man just talked about being beat to white patches showed on his body. Who wants to remember that? All right, Tyrone, let me ask you, okay, because you were in the active part of the abuse. Talk to us about dreams.
Oh, matter of fact, this reoccurring dream that keeps coming to my mind, and honestly, it shows up as random as possible, sometimes multiple times a month, or just once or twice a year. But the very first time that I actually got handcuffed and duct taped and got beat with whatever he thought was his form of punishment at the time, as an adult, I go into this house called the Hideout. Called the Bed and Breakfast in the Hideout, on Bloomville Road. As an adult, I'm walking in that house in this nightmare, and I'm looking at my younger self getting beat and abused by my father. And there's nothing I could do to stop him, and I'm literally standing in the doorway. The door is open, but there is some type of barrier that's stopping me from even trying to stop my father in this nightmare, and it's reoccurring, and it just won't stop. The trauma does not go away. And honestly, of course, this is how trauma works. It's worse than the experience when you were experiencing.
Yeah.
And it's like,
because you keep reliving it, even though in the dream you know you're out of it. In the dream, you know you're out of it, but you keep. Someone asked, so the abuse was focused mainly on the boys. The answer to that is yes, but not exclusively. There are girls who have been beat as well.
indeed.
But the boys have the more traumatic stories.
Yeah, and I don't like to compare between the guys and girls, because yes, they dealt with their form of abuse from the women, and it wasn't as severe. I can't say for each individual. I'm just saying overall, if you want to compare the boys to the girls, and this is not funny, but it kind of, I can laugh at some of it now. We were like the field niggas. The girls are like the house.
Okay. That I got a history degree, and I would have never thought of that analogy. Zay said, tell Tyrone I'm sultry cuh, which we could have did something, and I could just tell he wanted to just have fun, but they always made him clean or cut grass. Okay, so this is a perfect segue. Clean or cut grass while the rest do. Everybody else was having fun at function. They treated him and Jared like crap on my mama. Crap was sad, and even Elder Brayford was scared of Bishop. Yes, he was, but I can't tell his story. But yeah, I seen for myself. I watched the Dwayne Johnson Sr. humble Tyrone Brailsford Sr. I watched it with my own eyes. Two occasions I seen it for myself. So all that he's the right-hand man now is because he got a little money and he greasing their pockets with that little funky bounce house business. That definitely helps make it a little better, but it's also because there are not a whole lot of men around there. In regards to this piece about cutting grass and field individual versus house individual, yeah, the boys worked like slaves, sun up, sun down, anything you could think of, and we didn't get paid, and the justification for not getting paid was, oh, we take y'all to the movies, y'all go on trips, y'all do this, y'all do that. So it's almost like you do this, we give you this, so you just give us your whole life. That big field that y'all see behind that lighthouse, I've heard of someone having to cut it with a 22-inch push mower. I wasn't there. Okay, there you go. Tyrone's on. He can talk.
6 different push mowers because they didn't want to get a ride mower at the time.
Yeah. Now I was gone from there by then, but I was told about it by my brother, who is also out of there. But I think at this time he was still in this situation, and so that big old field that you see. Another thing, and so let me help you understand how deep the trauma goes.
And not for nothing, can I back you up on the difference of how we were treated? Now, mind you, it's not just the work that we did that made us like slaves. I'm talking the work, the way they used to strip us in front of each other, to beat us like our ancestors were. Like, that's what they did to us. And the fact that we had to watch each other get beat as if it was some type of sport for them. And that's why I compare that to the way we worked, where the way we were treated, were literally like slaves. But they will not tell you that. They're not going to tell anybody this because they only want people to see what they actually did for us after the abuse. Not what led up to it, not, oh, it was just a sport. Like, all they want people to see, even if other people want to be blind to it, all they want people to see is, oh, but we took you on a trip. Oh, you other children can't even go out of the country, and you went out the country. Doing something for somebody and spending all that wasted time and money does not justify what was done to us physically or mentally or emotionally.
You could have kept your trip and you could have left me home. And let me also say that letter that I'm going to talk about later talks about going to England. I've been out of the country one time. We went on a cruise in 4th grade, and the part of the cruise went to Mexico and the Grand Cayman Islands. But that's the only time I ever went out the country. So others have the testimony. They've been to Jamaica and here and there. That's not my story. I don't know what Jamaica looks like. I'll go further. Tyrone, you ever been to Wet and Wild?
I've been there once. Yeah.
Okay. He went once. I've never been to Wet and Wild because that when the girls would get to go to Wet and Wild, we was always on punishment.
Oh, I was on punishment, but nobody was there to watch me. My father would have me there by his side. I did not have.
There you go. Do you remember the time when we went to Florida and we all went down and we was in the vacation home and they had us locked in the room all day while everybody else out having a good time. And
in fact, it was the biggest room in there that they had us locked in.
The downstairs bedroom.
Yep.
Right next to what?
To the pool room and the.
There you go. And the reason why I'm doing this is so that y'all can know that we're not making this stuff up. Mm-hmm. We sitting in there reading Bibles all day, and I won't get into all of that. So there's no reason.
Whoever's listening, don't take my laughter as they say it's funny. I'm laughing through pain. So just.
Someone says.
I've talked about this for a while. So.
Someone says, I remember how DJ yelled at Kiana. She had to be 11 in that moment, and I knew they were mistreating y'all. And so Kiana is my sister. And the thing of it is, anybody could get it. It was no qualified. Now, there was some people who I ain't gonna lie. There are some people who, if never, I won't say never, but very rarely did they get the brunt of. Someone said, is D. Johnson Sr. and his family still around here? I will answer that this way just for the sake of being careful. The cult is in Alcaloo, and it's still alive and well. That's the best way I know how to answer it. Let me say this so that these people don't, because we're dealing with some slick people. I am by no way encouraging anyone to bother this man. I'm not encouraging anyone to go on this territory. I'm not encouraging anyone to do nothing to him. Please make it abundantly clear. This is just for the sake of awareness, because these some fool people. We'll talk about that when I read this letter a little later. But y'all seen it on my page. You probably also seen my response to that letter, but we'll talk about it. Someone said my father just mentioned that push mo. Who is this Tegan person? You are very familiar.
She stayed on, I think she stayed kind of right across the street from.
Oh, I think I seen that she said that earlier. Okay, well, there you have it. Sadistic individuals to do that. And the thing of it is, for me, Tyrone just talked about nightmares. I have dreams. I have one recurring dream that just don't make sense. It's not about abuse. It's another dream, and I won't disclose that because I don't fully understand it. But I have a dream. I have different dreams where it's almost like very similar to this deal of I'm grown and I know I'm grown, but it's like something has happened because the other part of the trauma is when you're in trouble, it's waiting on your beating, knowing that you got it coming. But and I'll be honest with you. To me, I can't speak for anyone else. To me, it seemed like he knew how to play mind games with you because he would know that you're expecting him to beat you, and he would come and speak like everything is fine, and then go on about his business and wait till the end of the day or whatever. And there was no pattern in that regard. So it could be as soon as he walks in, you get it right then, or it could be he waits until when everybody has gotten busy, or you. There was a back and forth, huh?
Sometimes the next day, just to know.
Yeah, sometimes. Now, prior to the Alkalu days, when we were still in Somerton, it might, if you got in trouble that Monday, you would have to wait till Friday to get your beating unless he decided to come to your house. And it all was based on how he felt. I told y'all the other night, I ran away from home, and he got on the road from Florida to come and beat my tail that day.
I remember that.
And so, and even to the point that my sister just mentioned it, they taunt the thought of beating until they're ready to do so. Yeah, Ella Johnson seen you yet? Now, you know he didn't because you would have been in there with him when he was... good Lord. See, this is where these memories get to come. In most cases, he never really beat you, just you and him in the room. It was always an audience, particularly for the boys.
Yep.
I can remember. Okay. I can remember in 4th grade, I stole $20 from my mama. I think to go to the book fair or something like that. Whatever. I stole $20 from my mama, and this was in December. So we talking about going home for Christmas break. On the day that you get out for school on Christmas break, it used to be a half day, and so we got out early enough to go to the church in Somerton for noonday prayer. After they finished, we were all sitting out in the van. The adults was in the building for whatever reason. When they finished praying, they sent someone out to get me. Now, I knew that I was going in there to get my beating. I knew that. So, when I get in there, all of the adults are in the circle, and they just finished praying. I guess, I don't know, maybe they're praying about a strategy for how to do it today. I don't know. They just finished praying, and so... And typically before the beatings, there has to be a conversation of some sort to recount what you did as if you don't know why you're getting a beating. And so before he beat me, and I can't tell I can't tell all of what happened with that. But after the beating, and this was before the paddle days, this was when I'll tell it, because what is it to lose? What I got to lose? So this was before the paddle days. This was during the belt days. He beat me. And you don't move, because if you move, what happens, Tyrone?
It's either longer or they're going to start tag teaming you.
That's it. So, and it becomes long because he'll start over. They make you count. And you got to count how many hits. And if you move off the chair, you start over with counting. And if it's a good day, you might count to 7 because that's their favorite number. You might count to 10. It just depends on how he's feeling. I remember distinctly, the wife, Ella Johnson's wife, was, let me get it in my mind. I'm on the chair and I'm turning. I wouldn't dare not fall off that chair, but I'm turning. And as he's coming down, she kept flinching. And he beat me so that, I don't know if anyone eating, and I hope not. I defecated, and he realized it. And he stopped. You messed on my belt? Now your mama owes me $30. Get down there. Beating again, because now I messed up his belt. When the beating finished, I got up. And he made me apologize to everybody in the room for stealing the money and lying about it. Now, let me remind you, I stole the money from my mama, and I will also inform you that my mama was not there. My mama was at work, so she wasn't even there. But I had to tell everybody in the room. At this time, this individual is now, she's passed away. Her name was Sister Bell, and she had just become a mother of the church. And so I said, I'm sorry, Sister Bell, for stealing the money and lying about it. What did you just call her? And just ain't you tired? You just whooped my behind. How are you still this angry? I mean, not for nothing. I got kids. There are times that I have to do what I got to do. Now, ain't nothing like that. Lord knows after 3 licks, I'm like, hey, go ahead. I'm good. You good. Go on about your business. Nobody got time to be just rage. And one of the things I teach as a parent, you don't get a child because you're angry. You deal with your child for what they did. These beatings were because they were mad. Most cases, what you did didn't even amount to the beating that you got. And so, you know, and for them to now say, and even those who are our age and who knew and we talked about and didn't like and yada yada yada, who are now acting like this stuff didn't happen. The thing for me is, we used to have conversations about the beating. So for everyone to tell me about these are lies and we making things up, I mean, I would just shut up if I were you. It'll take you back to that exact age. Yeah. Okay. So, and I pinned this for a reason. Nisha Charlene said it'll take you back to that exact age, that exact location, etc. Because just now, as I'm telling you what happened, I will never forget everything about that day and where it was and how I felt. And that's what, and so to remember, so a lot of us on TikTok have been sending me these messages about doing part 1, part 2, part 3. Now I'm going to tell you, I don't know how many parts we're going to have by the time I do this, because the request is to sit down and tell the story from the beginning. Well, it's such a long story. And I'm not saying I'm not going to do it. I'm just saying it's a lot. But the idea is that this almost seems like, forgive me for saying it, a never-ending story. Because by the time I finish with my piece, you have Tyrone on here with his piece. You have others who were not. The last time this kind of a thing happened, it didn't go viral at all. But 3 years ago, when I blew the whistle, and that's why for these people that talking about why y'all just saying something, y'all need to go check my track record, because I've been talking for years. Now, it took a few years to start talking. First of all, because I didn't want to cause a problem for my mother and grandmother. Secondly, I had to deal with my own feelings about it before I can go. And even I'll go ahead and say, I called Clarendon County law enforcement back when I first left about, so this is 2010, about, April, May, June of 2010. They asked me when was the last time I had been beat. And I told them the last one that I could physically remember and describe, and the statute of limitations was up, because at that time, the statute of limitations was like 2 years. If it was 2 years or older, they can't do nothing about criminal stuff. And this happened around the same time that this shooting incident happened with Tyrone and his father, because after that incident, from what I understand, I wasn't there, but my brother told me, the paddle disappeared and the beating stopped, and it became more of the mental and emotional abuse. Tyrone, you can correct me on that if I'm wrong.
Oh no, you're not wrong. Mind you, the paddle disappeared because I threw that. You remember that field, that boat place that was next to the yellow building, the lighthouse?
Yeah.
I threw the paddle in the woods over there. I mean, and I'm talking about I've flung that. Sorry, not to be vulgar, but I flung that paddle all the way over there. And I guess they got tired of buying more paddles, but at the same time, it was also like a little bit of fear. I know I can't really scare my father, but neither one of us knew what I was about to do. Like it was kind of like a fight or flight mode, or just let them continue to do it. So when I ran into that room and I loaded the gun, it kind of struck a little bit of fear of him because it was like, hell, I was scared doing it, he was scared receiving it, and yes, that's when afterwards I threw the paddle in the woods, and it's like, yeah, they just started pushing on us instead of beating us with paddles and stuff, or anything that they could find and get their hands on. But that's when a lot of the mental and emotional abuse just like belittling us more than anything, because they couldn't really physically, beat us with the stuff that they had.
Yeah.
I started throwing that stuff away in the middle of the night, just tossed that right in the woods.
And now I got to tell you, I commend you, because I know I never would have been brave enough to try and shoot nobody. I ain't going to tell you no lie. I promise you, I thought about it. When I was younger, all I wanted to see was somebody suffer. So ain't no need of me lying to you. You beating the devil out of us and getting away with it.
That part.
And, but I know I would have never been, as a matter of fact, so fast forward to when I went to college, the one time that I got brave, this is my bravery story, and it's going to sound like crap compared to your bravery story. My bravery story, I was living in the veteran home at this time with Brother Bowman and whatever. And Elder John, that Sunday, the college kids used to leave on Sundays to go back to USC. I stopped by my mother's house to see her before I go back to Columbia. And I was only in the house 5 minutes, and I didn't go any further than the living room. So that was that Sunday. Maybe that Monday, but I'm wanting to think, my mind is wanting to tell me it was more so that Tuesday. I was on my way to math class. It had to be a Tuesday because I failed this class, and it was a Tuesday and Thursday class. I was on my way to algebra, and Ella Johnson called my cell phone. Now, you do not want to even think about the trauma to see Ella Johnson number coming across your phone. Because he never called to say, how you doing? That just didn't happen.
Yep.
So I answered the phone, because the other thing is you don't ignore the call. I answered the phone. Hey, I want to know where that money is, and I want to know where it's at now. I didn't have a clue what this man was talking about. I said, I have $20. I mean, I don't know what money you talking about. No, see, you think I'm playing with you. But I'm telling you now, you better come up with that money. I said, Ella Johnson, I don't have a clue what money you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about. The man got on my nerves so bad, I ain't even go to class. I went home and laid down, took a nap. So, okay, let me remind you, I had gotten in trouble in December for stealing a coat. And I was going through pre-trial intervention. So I was dealing with the courts in order to deal with that stealing the coat situation. All right? So that was that Tuesday he called. Then that Thursday, we all got a call to meet Ella Johnson at Wells Fargo in Columbia. All of the college kids. And I was like, I'm on my way to class. I have a test. I was like, everybody need to be there. Everybody got to get there. So all of us made our way to, okay, so my sister is here. She says he slapped the mess out of me about that money the previous Sunday. Oh, so there you go from my sister. All right, so all of the college kids, and the whole story, I'm not getting off track. The whole story is connected. All of the college kids met him at Wells Fargo. He gets out of the car. They have a bunch of checks. They tell us, here, go in there and cash these. Bring the money back out to me. My check was $600 and something. Siobhan, I don't know what, this is my other sister, Siobhan. This money wasn't the money mommy dropped in the field. I'm going to tell you what happened with this money because I know what the end of the story is. That's another story you're remembering. So everyone else got their checks to go in the bank and cash them and bring the money out. Before he handed me the check, he says, hey, come here. And I already knew he was seething about this money, so I said, yes. And so we were not raised to say yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, because we come from up north, and up north they didn't do that. So I was like, yes. He said, listen to me. He said, let me tell you something. When you come, this was a Thursday. He said, when you come back there tomorrow night, you better come back with that money, or the same people that got you under the radar about stealing that jacket, I'm going to report you about this money. I said, well, I don't have the money, so I don't know what to say to that. Tegan, yes. Yeah. Always looking for something to be upset about. And so then he said, now, you talking about reporting me. This is the stupid stuff that pisses me off. You talking about reporting me for stealing. And you gonna say the next line out your mouth, now take this in there and cash it and bring it out to me. Man, shut the front door. The hypocrisy. You fussing at me about money I don't even know about. Now, and so the check was for $600, and it was supposed to be paid for our work with the after-school program, that as if they were paying us from that grant. So I went in, cashed a little $600, brought it back to him. I went on about my day. It's Thursday. We go back because the college students were not allowed to stay in Columbia. They came and picked us up every Friday because we had church on Friday, church on Sunday, and we had no choice but to be there. All right? So, and we usually got picked up about 3 or 4 o'clock. So I won't call the individual's name just because of who the individual is, and this individual is not in the cult, and I don't want to indict other people or bring other people in. But I went to this individual and another person in whom I confide about things, and I said, look, I need some money. I don't know how much money I need, but I need some money to take back with me because I'm being accused of taking money that I didn't even know how much money it was. And so the 2 individuals said, well, if he's a pastor, surely he will listen to you and understand. And I walked out and I ain't had the money. I was like, oh my God. So this is another one of them situations. Now I'm not a child anymore, quote unquote. I'm in college, so I'm grown. But I'm feeling this thing of, oh my God, I'm going to be in trouble. I'm going to be in trouble. I'm going to be in trouble. And nothing moves the clock like when you're in trouble. Listen to me. That clock seems...
That clock speeds up.
24 hours turn into 30 minutes when you're in trouble. So we get picked up, we go, and it's Friday night service. Now, if there was an impending issue, it was nothing for him to deal with it in church. So I'm thinking, my goodness, this service, he gonna fuss at me. I wasn't so worried about a beating because I figured that because I was grown. I later found out that didn't mean nothing to him because I didn't get beat after I graduated. But I can tell you by the time that he slapped blood out of my mouth. And I was 18 years old. But in this regard, I wasn't worried about a beating. But I mean, by the time he finished fussing and carrying on, it almost like being beat. And so that Friday we get to church. And nothing was said. And so I'm like, is it mind games? Remember we talked about the mind games earlier. I'm like, is it mind games? No, I can't say that he beat grown men. I can't say that. He talked to grown men like they were kids and they act like they were being beat. I got another story about that, but I won't tell it right now. When my father came down and was demanding to see my sister, he had a grown man running like he was a child. Ella Johnson, I'm trying to get there as fast as I can. Grown man running. All right, so nothing was said Friday night. So church was over. We go home. I'm like, okay, I ain't going to let this hang over my head. So that Saturday morning, I got up, went to the restaurant. And I kind of could talk to Sister Johnson a little bit at times. Because when she wanted to be nice, she could be. So I worked up the courage, and even then, you got to still cushion whatever you're going to say with a whole lot of whatever. So I walked up to the restaurant, working the speech in my mind as to how I was going to ask about this money, because I ain't letting this hang over my head the whole weekend. So when I get to the restaurant, Sister Johnson spoke, I spoke. And so I was like, Sister Johnson, and it's almost like I'm sitting here seeing this right now. I said, Sister Johnson, what happened with the money? She said, oh, your mother didn't talk to you? I said, no, I hadn't talked to my mother this whole week about the money. She said, oh, your mother was supposed to your mother was supposed to apologize because your mother, the money was found. Your mother was filling out an envelope and she leaned on somebody's Bible and put the money in the envelope in the Bible. And now, here's the stupid thing for me. Why would y'all make my mother apologize when my mother is not the one who... Ella Johnson was the one calling and ranting and raving and acting crazy. Why would my mother have to apologize? I said, oh, no, I didn't hear from her. I said, Ella Johnson is the one that called me. Because now, what I just said to you, I never would have said to them. That would have been a death sentence. But I said, Ella Johnson was the one that called me, so I didn't know, I didn't hear nothing. And she said, no, we told her she needed to get to you and apologize because your mother was adamant that you took that money before you went back to college, and we told her she needed to get to you and fix it. Now, I went and talked to my mother about it, but the issue for me was my mother ain't the one that fussed me out about the money in the first place. So one day, Ella Johnson caught me, fast forward, I said nothing else about it that weekend. Some kind of way, me and Ella Johnson wound up in a meeting. And I don't know, Tyrone, to this day, I don't know what made me get this brave. So, again, my bravery story ain't going to sound nothing like yours, but my bravery story means something to me. Ella Johnson carrying on, and he talking about you can't be trusted and yada yada. I said, Ella Johnson, you fussing with me. I said, and you called me about money and fussed me out about it, and then when it came out, oh man, Lord help me. When it came out that the money was found, you didn't even call to apologize for accusing me. Oh my God. I didn't even get the words out of my mouth. Ella Johnson reared up out that seat. Apologize? Who about to apologize to you? Nobody's apologizing to you. God had already showed me you didn't have the money. I was just trying to show you that you couldn't be trusted. Man, get out of here with that. Get out of here with that. God showed you I ain't had the money. We don't need God. I told you I didn't have the money every time you came to me about it. I'm too scared to lie to you. Even if I tried, it didn't work. Because by the time you get finished and they knew how to talk to you in a way where they would act like they knew the truth, even if they didn't know a thing, and get you to tell on yourself.
That part.
Said, Pastor, did your mom know you were getting abused like this? I remember you getting a beating one time and it tore me apart watching it. It was over something someone else did. You kept telling them you didn't do. I can tell you a few stories of beatings I got when it was other people I wasn't even around. Oh boy. Every adult knew. Every adult knew. There's not one adult there who did not know. So my mother and I talked at one point about this whole thing, and my mother's words were, my frame of mind was not in a place to know how to defend you all. And I'm not excusing the fact that it happened. I'm not excusing the fact that they didn't say anything, because the thing for me is, if y'all knew to cover it up and knew that when I said something about, if y'all knew to cover it up and knew that when I said something about the abuse, that, I'll never forget. There was a young lady that was she was the first individual to come to the after school program. So when they would pick us up on that blue and white van, now, we talked about beatings and stuff with each other like no tomorrow. Everybody talked about it. Everybody knew. So we would talk about, there are even times when people would joke about how people responded to beating. Yeah, you couldn't even sit down when Ella Johnson finished beating you. So we were on the van, and this other individual, I won't call her name because she's not a part of all of this, but this other individual was on the van with us. I always got in trouble for talking too much. I guess we all know that I talk a lot now. The problem with kids is kids don't know how to be fake, and kids don't know how to say, oh, okay, now is not the time for that. So they was talking about Jared. They was talking about Jared doing something or whatever. And I said, yeah, y'all remember that time Ella Johnson beat Jared with the handle of the axe? And the whole van got quiet. And the story, this goes back a long, long time ago. We were on the trailer chopping some wood, and Ella Johnson was backing the trailer up, and Jared was reaching over, touching the tire while he was backing the trailer up in someone's yard. You remember this? Ella Johnson came back there with the handle of the axe. He took the axe, and he had his hand, he had the handle, and he beat him with the handle of the axe. Not the sharp part, the handle. And so we clowned Jared for years about getting beat with the axe. So when I talked about it in the van, we clowned him so much about it, but I didn't see it as a problem. So when we got to the school, the individual who was driving the van, she's deceased now, Sister Kim Green. She and Sister Langhorn got me in a room, and Sister Green said, this boy gonna sit in the van with that girl in the van talking about Ella Johnson beat that boy with a handle of an axe. And so Sister Langhorn said, oh, so you're running your mouth again. You're running your mouth again. Okay, you talking about him getting beat with an axe. Okay, Ella Johnson gonna hear about this and he'll deal with you. This was the norm. Nothing about this is foreign. They talk to each other about telling her, yeah, I'm going to get with Ella Johnson because he did yada, 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 and he been showing off all week. And so, yeah, it was the norm. Every adult knew. Okay, so let me talk about this part of it, because Tyrone was raised by his father. I was raised by my mother. I remember, how did your family meet them? Let me pin it and we'll go back to that. I remember when the beatings became a mainstream thing. Tyrone, you were not quiet around at this time. You came around. Yeah, Ariel, she passed not long ago. She died. So Ella Johnson stood up in church. Yeah, I want to, all of y'all sisters, I want to let you know that, he said, I want to know whenever these boys are doing anything, because I'm going to start dealing with them. I'm going to start dealing with them because they need a man on them. They need a man to handle them. And so that was how, and I remember, okay, let me go here. I remember my mother and godmother coming home and saying, I don't think I ain't going to be calling Ella Johnson. Now, they wasn't able to stick with it, but they said, I ain't going to be calling her. I don't need nobody beating my children for me. But my mother didn't have the strength to stick with it.
I remember that. That was during the time my mom and dad had split custody, so I was back and forth.
Okay.
That was during the Somerton days when they first started that.
That's it. That was he was during the Somerton days, and this was in a church service. And so that's how it got to be that whenever somebody gets in trouble, Ella Johnson is the one. And I mean, the point they made these single mothers feel, bless your heart, Ariel. They made these single mothers feel like they just had no power. Like, oh, you raising these boys. And I remember being beat for rearing up against my mother. I have never in all of my life raised my hand to my mother. Truth be told, my mother's not a big woman, but first of all, we were raised to be scared of adults. So I would have never even thought, oh, you hit me, I'm going to hit you back. Because if I was to do that, we already know how it's going to end.
Yeah.
So he was mainly beating the boys. Did he beat the girls as well on Facebook? Yes, mainly the boys, but yes, there were some girls that got beat as well. I know for...
his wife and the sisters beat the girls, though.
Yeah, so, yeah. But I can also tell you about, I know of one incident, and I won't go into the fullness of this. I know of one incident where my sister was beat. I'm the oldest, but the sister right behind me, well, 2 or 3, where she was beat for something that she told that was done to her, and they didn't believe her. And he beat her, and then came in the living room. We were on vacation in Florida. Came in the living room. We sitting there watching TV, trying to tune out what we hearing going on in the back room. And he said, "Turn that TV off, you bunch of bastards." Now, we had nothing to do. First of all, she shouldn't have been beat. But the other thing is, we had nothing to do with the beating. Why we bastards? So Shonda Nessa, I pinned your comment. How did your family meet them? In 1989, my grandfather went to the church in New York where this man's father was the pastor. His father was not anything like him. I respect that man to this day. As a matter of fact, I'm going to talk to y'all about my last conversation with him because he has my undying respect. When you hear me talk about my pastor growing up, I'm talking about Bishop Robert P. Johnson. I am not alluding to Dwayne Johnson Sr. at all. He was a terror. I don't refer to him as my pastor. And so my mother came to the church as a result of her mother being in the church because she was shacking up with this man that I call my grandfather. They loved each other and whatever, but they just never got married. And so I was born into the church, as was most of these young people that are my age. With the exception of a few. Tyrone here, of course, he told you he came into it at 4 years old when his father got custody of him. And he was around before that because I remember his father would bring him around. And I remember when you came around, everyone was always so good to see you because you wasn't around often. I used to feel like I wanted to be like that, like they liked him until you got around full time, and then we all got treated like crap. So,
For real.
so yeah, I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing any questions. What about the fathers in the? Oh, okay. What about the fathers? All right, let's go. I can only tell you of three. Hold on, let me count. One of them, his wife was on here. He left, and he went and created a new life for himself. But right now, in that community, there are only 3 men there now. Growing up, there were only about 3 or 4. Men don't do well in this construct. There were not a lot of men. All right. Let me pause this for 1 second. I have a call that I need to take. Bishop.
I can't answer the Facebook questions or anything, but I can answer. Also, Cassandra, are there a lot of kids there now, or is it mainly adults? Thank you, Mr. It's not that many kids there. It's really just the grandkids and maybe 3 others. No more than 10, I tell you that much.
Okay. But yeah, there were not a lot of men. Yeah, to his point, there were not a lot of men, and this construct was built up from mostly single women who had DSS cases and things like that in New York. Oh, here we go. Why are you bringing this up now? I'm glad you asked. Beautiful question. Why are you bringing this up now? You should have talked to Apostle Johnson. Uncle Robert Johnson is my uncle. Remember Psalms 105:15. Why am I bringing this up now? I've been talking about this. And Apostle Johnson, as y'all call him, I don't call him that. We've had several conversations. And they never go well because he only wants his way. And so I'm not trying to be ugly. I'm not trying to be ugly to you. And I appreciate whatever this is that you, I'm trying to find the best way to even respond to that because, yeah, I think we made it quite clear that there's no reasoning with him. They say right now that the beatings never happened, that I'm only doing this because I'm after my grandmother's money. And so, yeah, I'm going to unpin that. Thank you for your input. Why are you bringing this up now? I've been talking about this for years. It's just now getting noticed for whatever reason. But, and I keep, why am I, someone else from your family, let me pin the post again. Because you had a cousin that said, and since he did it publicly, I'll acknowledge it publicly. James Johnson said, let me, I got the screenshot and I don't remember where I had it. But he said something along the lines of, if you had all these accusations, why did you not go to law enforcement? Well, when I did, the statute of limitations for that which I could talk about was up. So I did go to law enforcement. That's the first piece. And the other thing is law enforcement was with us Saturday when we got my mother out of there. That's the other thing. But the other thing is, when is a good time to bring it up? You tell me. It's not like this stuff is over. The beatings might not be happening, but they still doing the same stuff they always been doing financially. So you tell me, when's a good time to bring it up? Let me ask you a better question. If you're in the family, you've heard things. Why didn't you bring it up? Why didn't no one tell him that he shouldn't be doing these things that he's doing? And if you did, which I doubt, I don't know if you did or not, because I know you called another name, and that individual Robert Johnson has stood up to his brother. He has stood up to his brother. I don't know who you are, so if you have, thank you for whatever you did or tried to do. But at the end of the day, don't come ask me why am I bringing this up now. First of all, I didn't go as far as I'm going now because my mother was still there, and I really had their best interests at heart, even though I didn't like their situation. At this point, my mother is no longer there. What do I have to lose? My grandmother needs to be out of there. That's what this whole thing is about. So I told you don't come with the foolishness. If you're going to come, the best thing for you to do is sit and watch. Don't come with the foolishness. Because no, we ain't doing that. Why am I bringing it up now? I brought it up when I was in 7th grade. And they found out that I said something about it, and I got picked up and thrown on the ground. And said, you want to talk about abuse? Let me show you what abuse is like. Let's go back to the story where I talked about the boy getting beat with an axe handle and missed and said it in front of an outsider, and you said that in front of that girl. When I wrote the suicide letter and I was at Clarendon Memorial Hospital, the doctor came in. Now this is after Ella Johnson done told me in the guidance office. This is after Ella Johnson done told me in the guidance office, when that psychiatrist finish with you, I'm going to bust your behind. They want you to go to a psychiatrist. I'm going to be a psychiatrist. Now we at the hospital, and they ask me all these questions, and the doctor walks out, and he says, look, you better stop sitting there looking all forlorn and sad and start smiling and being pleasant and show these people nothing wrong with you so that we can get out of here. How many times if nobody else got in trouble for trying to sound alarm? I was getting in trouble since I was a kid. And here we are right now, people are still trying to smear my name for saying what's going on. So don't you dare ask me, why am I bringing this up? I should have talked. No, you should have. You were an adult in the situation. Come say nothing stupid to me. And this is the problem. We want to pass the buck. Why am I saying something now? Because when is a good time to say? That's why. When do y'all think? Those of you who keep asking this question. Those of you who keep asking this question about why now? When do you think was a good time to talk about it? What does that gate lead to? That's behind the bounce houses. I don't know what gate. I don't know what gate you're talking about. So let's look at this letter that was addressed to me. I think that was the stupidest thing that anybody ever could have sent me. I mean, not sent me. Excuse me. First of all, Faith Johnson has me blocked on Facebook, so I don't even understand why she would type a post on Facebook and then put my name in it as if I'm going to see it. You blocked me 3 years ago when I, blew the whistle before. But let's go. I want to take the time to go line by line and talk about this piece of foolishness that you sent me. So she starts, Devon, it is heartbreaking to see someone who has shown so much love, kindness, and support speak against the very people who helped this family during one of the darkest seasons of their... Let's pin that. I'll come back. Jordan Bailey, I would definitely come back to that. To his question. I'm going to pin it, so I'll come back to it. If you ask a question and I don't see it while I'm reading, go back later and hit a period so I can attend to it. Devon, it is heartbreaking to see someone who has shown so much love, kindness, and support speak against the very people who helped his family during one of the darkest seasons of their lives. When your family had nowhere to turn, this ministry opened its doors. Pause. Okay, because someone asked the question. I'm so glad you asked the question. How did we get involved in this? I think I told y'all that I was born into this church. So I'm trying to figure out at what point did the ministry open its doors to me when I was born into the church. So your narrative is already off right there. I'm a birth-bred baby of Open Door Ministries. I told the story of when I was sick and Bishop said I ain't gonna die and all of that good stuff. Now, what we can talk about is if you're referencing when we came to South Carolina, it's not that my mother had nowhere to turn. It's that when her brother, Faith Johnson's brother, who is the leader of this thing, found out that my mother had a custody case, as he did with others who were having custody issues, he called her and said, hey, come to South Carolina. And right after we came to South Carolina, my mother got a letter where we were approved for a bigger house in New York because we was on housing. We was on housing, and we was living in one house, and they approved her for a bigger house. So it's not that she had nowhere to turn, it's that he capitalized on a situation. He capitalized on an experience. So, yeah. Thank you. Jerea was my childhood best friend. You have been loud and vocal since I met you in 2005. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, please don't make it seem like I'm just now. The person who asked me, does it affect how I raise children? Yeah, make sure to to put a marker on that so the question will come back up, because I just unpinned it and lost it. So here we go. Let's go. Your mother and family were embraced with compassion, and you were cared for as one of their own. Okay, so Dwayne Joseph Johnson Sr. has a son whose name is Dwayne Joseph Johnson Jr. There is no boy in that compound who was treated like Dwayne. While we were cutting grass, now, I can remember one time cutting some grass with Dwayne. He was on the router mower, I was on the weed eater. One time. But while we was washing cars, Dwayne was in the house asleep or whatever he was doing because he had to protect his hands for his music career. While we are slaving around and whatever, we in the hot sun, he chilling in his office in the lighthouse. So I'm trying to understand, you were cared for as one of their own. Yeah, no. You're gonna have to not do that. All right, here we go. I personally spent time with you and watched many people in the ministry pour into your life with love, patience, and guidance. I done told enough stories on here tonight for where there was no patience for anything that they didn't care about. And the guidance was, be what we want you to be. I told y'all the story the other night of how I wanted to go to Allen University or Benedict University, but I was forced to go to USC. This is why this situation is so deeply saddening. I also had the privilege of traveling with your grandmother on several occasions, including a trip to England. I witnessed firsthand how the ministry and especially Bishop Johnson stood by your family. Pause. I can't help but let the individual that likes literature in me deal with the fact that what does my grandmother going to England have to do with this conversation? That's the first piece. The second piece for me is, Grandma went to England with you. I wasn't there. Y'all got on a plane and went across the ocean. I couldn't even get her to come across the threshold of a door. Go further. I graduated college in 2023. She can go 8 hours with y'all, but couldn't even come 45 minutes to my college graduation when I called and offered, had tickets. FMU gave me 10 tickets. My family is 8 alone. and I had 2 extra tickets. I said, I called and told my mother and grandmother I had 2 tickets for them to come to the graduation. Now at this time, I had just blew the whistle about this 3 years ago, so I knew that he wasn't going to let them come, but it won't be because I didn't invite you. So don't tell me about a trip to England. What do that got to do with me? She came into the ministry broken, and by God's grace, her life was transformed. Okay, so back to the beginning. My grandmother came into this ministry in about 1989 or so because of my grandfather. At this time, Sister Faith wasn't even around like that because I wasn't born until 91, so I can't really speak for 89 to, what I can tell you is by the time I remember Sister Faith, I only remember her, Faith Johnson. I only remember her coming for the big stuff. She was not in Open Door on a day-to-day basis. So to say my grandmother came into the ministry broken and by God's grace her life was transformed, if you're talking about my grandmother, you wasn't there when she came in. My mother came with my grandmother, and my mother was so young at that time, and she quiet now. So I know she wasn't making a whole lot of noise then. But the other thing is, my grandfather and my grandmother took care of my mother. My mother never even worked when we were in New York, and bills were paid and things were handled. Now, my father wasn't about nothing, and that was a situation in her life. And so if there was some brokenness, I don't even know who that lady Cobb is. I don't have a clue who she is. She identified herself as a niece of Ella Johnson's brother. So, to say she came broken, no, that's you trying to gaslight this little story. But whatever, cool. Here we go. It is painful to see accusations made against a bishop and ministry that invested so much in your family. Whatever disagreements may exist, I pray they are handled with truth, integrity, and respect, rather than words that can damage a person's reputation. First of all, you are addressing this letter to me as if I'm the only one who has said anything. Before the live yesterday, so many other people said and corroborated these stories. So why is this addressed to me and not to the whole crew of people that are talking? Why is it that you can continue to attack me as if I'm the only one saying this happened, that happened, and the other happened? This is truly a sad day. I'm sure it is for you. For y'all. I'm sure it is. My prayer is that God will search every heart, bring conviction where it is needed, and let truth prevail. As scripture, and I'm not going to read them verses because y'all specialize in using Bible to try and play on people's mind. Now, the first thing is, so I took that little post and I put handcuffs on it, and I voice recorded myself reading the Miranda rights because I'm telling you now, it is absolutely stupid for you to even have sent that, because this doesn't help your case at all. You are taking the trauma of people who were abused as children and trying to pretend it didn't happen for the sake of protecting a reputation for somebody who will not even acknowledge that these things took place. The fact of the matter is, this wouldn't even be a conversation right now if I had a normal relationship with my grandmother. Let's start there. Let's also talk about you quoting scripture, but y'all be prophesying death on people. I don't know exactly. I don't know this particular scripture by heart, but I believe the Bible says, "I suffer not a witch to live." When you're trying to prophesy doom and gloom, that's operating in charismatic witchcraft. Talking about God showing you people. Oh, and the letter definitely chat GPT, because then another post went up where you said 17 years of good turned into, with N and 2 spaced out, and N2 is one word. You couldn't even get one sentence right. How you gonna give me a perfect dissertation Only one grammatical error. You misused you misappropriated the word there. Instead of doing THERE, you should have said THEIR. Took me in as one of their own. It shows ownership. But this is not an English class. It's okay. But the fact of the matter is, y'all are doing these things to try and downplay. Because the thing of it is, I bet what you didn't say in that letter is that that you didn't say that no beatings took place. You didn't directly address not one allegation, and there have been many. So that letter is a complete and total joke.
And not to add, like, I don't understand why, and she was the same person that stopped me in 2023 when I first came back to South Carolina as a truck driver. It's always the same nonsense. I don't know what happened, but you need to go talk and apologize.
She is famous for that line. She is famous for that line. And she tries that, maybe a conversation. You know, and okay, so since she wrote this letter, how many times have you recommended that I talk to you about? And as a matter of fact, let me recall one conversation that we had specifically. This is around 2021 because we were coming out of the pandemic. This was when they kind of started trying to play nice because they wanted me to sign my house and church over to them. So she's like, I think that you need to talk to my brother, and I think y'all need to have a conversation. We got off the phone. She called me back and said, and I quote, I don't care if my brother fly out of the bag on you like a bat out of hell. Show him kindness. You be the Christian and be the one that exhibits godly character. Well, hold on a minute, because he the preacher longer than I am. So I got to be the one, because no, what you're saying is humble down. And we've been doing that all our lives. I can tell you right now, your brother's not coming out of the bag like a bat out of hell on nobody now. Not now. Not now. Me and him had one episode after I left there where he tried to do all of that raging, and I stood up to him in the model house, and I said, I'm not the child that left here. There's a car parked in that driveway that I drove here, and I can get back in that car and drive myself home. I don't got to do this. And I don't know, and I said to him, I don't know why you're approaching me like this, but we're not doing that. So he went to yell again, and I said, no, the only way we're going to talk today is if you have your seat and you do not yell at me. I'm not a kid anymore. I'm a grown man. I have children of my own. So do you feel like what you went through as a child impacts the way you approach raising your own kids? I would say yes, for a number of reasons. One, I personally don't like doing a whole lot of yard work, washing cars, none of that. Ain't no need of me lying to you. My car right now need to go through a car wash. I've never made my boys do these things that we used to have to do. I try to, now, I will say, I have had to learn as a parent to be more patient because I had to learn rage and being upset and fussing and hollering doesn't resolve much, and it inflicts trauma of its own. And I'll be honest, I'm learning that more recently. I'm learning to take the time to listen and to get understanding of, for instance, one of the things growing up is that used to happen to us is they would ask, why did you do it? And then not even give you a chance to explain why you did. So I remember things like that and try to, and I'm not by no means am I a perfect parent. By no means. I overwork, I don't prioritize well, I'm learning to do better, but I try to remember what I dealt with and to implement that in dealing with my own children. Do they welcome anybody in their church or only the community is allowed at their church? You welcome if you're going to pay money. You got to pay to play. Someone came on here and said one of their relatives a few days ago, one of their relatives went to the commune or for a church service or something, and they told her, you don't belong here.
Damn. Excuse me.
So, I mean, what can, you have to, it's almost like, now there is one case that I know of, and I will say, there have been people who have stopped by for service, said, I heard about your work, and then they kind of got wrapped in that way. There's an elderly couple that used to be there, and I think both of them are deceased now, I believe. And the husband stopped by and gave a donation because of all they do with young people, and him and his wife became a part of the church. But even them, they found out about how things were, and they stayed around, but it became a little distant from what I can remember when I was there. Kiara, I think they met you. Okay, I think we met you at that Something's Got Talent thing or something like that, and they recruited you from there for the band to sing. I think that's how you got around. When I wouldn't sign my house and church over, he stopped my mother and my grandmother from communicating to me. Are there requirements like you have to show them your bank account before you can join? I won't say before you can join. So that situation depends on who you are, how strong your mind is, and how you got in. So when my mother and when we were moved to Alcaloo, which is not the same as when we came to South Carolina. We moved to Alcaloo 10 years after we came to South Carolina, which is 2008. When we moved to Alcaloo, my mother was told, we're going to put somebody over your account. And so it was a joint account with that individual. The same is the case for my grandmother, but they started doing that with her around 1996 or so. When they got her to leave my grandfather, and I get it, they were not married and they were cohabitating. I get it. The church frowns on that. I get that. I'm not saying I agree with nothing this church did, but okay, cool, whatever. But when they got her away from him, that's when the older sister started getting involved in her financial affairs, but more specifically when she got hurt on her job and they knew a settlement was coming, that's when power of attorney and joint accounts and all that became a thing for my grandmother, and that goes to that happened in about 2003, 4, 5, somewhere up in there. So that's the fullness of it. Tyrone, anything else you got to say tonight?
Me, honestly, shit, we covered the bases for the most part. There's a lot of stories.
Okay, more stories than we can tell. Do you have to sign? Someone just asked, do you have to sign a percentage of every paycheck? Depending on who you are, some people just pay tithes. Some people, the church is over the whole check. So I told you all with my grandmother, she gets 2 checks. One is a pension. The other is her Social Security check. The pension check, which is the bigger check, she don't even have no control over that money. She don't know what's in that account. She might know now because they're trying to do damage control. But she don't control her money. They let her have access to the Social Security check, the smaller of the 2. But from what my mother said, she only gets $500 allowance out of that money. Local banks. So I know in regards to my grandmother, that big check doesn't go to a local bank. It goes to Bank of America. And you know they don't have branches locally. I think the closest one is in Charlotte. But the other thing is, I don't know that they would. I don't know. I don't know if they see red flags or not. I think that sometimes it's almost a deal of we don't see anything until something comes up, and then we start noticing patterns that cause everything to come out. They have big lawyers to keep their nose clean. Yes, I I don't know who represents, I don't know, but I know based on the fact that there have been, there's a Bank of America in Camden. Thank you for telling me. Um, based on the fact that there have been several cases online, several depositions, and every one of them are listed as settled, deposed, blah blah blah. And so I don't know who cleans house for them. They got Olivia Pope from Scandal working for them, must be, cause
there was one time I had to drop an envelope off in Sumter. I actually remember the office. I don't know if it's still operational or not, but I never knew the name of the lawyer or anything. I wasn't even told to talk to him like that. Just drop the envelope off and keep going.
Well, there you have it. Not sure how I dropped off here, but I looked at the church's page. They seem to have a lot of businesses under their 501c. So many of those businesses, one, are not even around them anymore because they find out what they're about and people get missing. But yeah, the other thing is there are a lot of different places where they put money, different corporations with different names and things of that nature. That's why last night someone asked, what is it that you want? Now, I didn't start this wanting nothing. But at this point, my answer to that question will consistently be a financial audit. A financial audit. If you follow the money, that'll tell you everything else. Okay, here we go. I always wonder why none of these people had jobs and could afford all these things. Because the fact of the matter is not one person, not one individual. Now they're going to combat this by saying we have businesses and all of that. But no one in the Johnson family, as far as Dwayne Johnson and his wife and the sisters, I don't know about the brother. I can't say this for Dwayne Johnson's brother because he don't really fool up with them like that. But they have these little businesses that they have, quote unquote, but they don't work jobs and haven't worked yet. Dwayne Johnson Sr. gets up and preaches about, I've been self-sufficient for 20, 30 years, 20 years. Dwayne Johnson Sr., before the Alkalu days, had not worked since I've lived in South Carolina, and I've been here since 1998. The last job I know him to talk about having was he drove bus for Greyhound. Has CPS ever came and talked to any children? Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge. Because, first of all, as was mentioned earlier, when that school opened, that put people out of even having access to have a reason for CPS to be involved. The other thing is, they had a funny way of getting people out of stuff. So I was supposed to go to mental health weekly for appointments after I wrote that suicide letter. And I went to one appointment and I was told, someone is to be with you, whoever we send with you. If you ask to be let alone, I'm going to beat you again. This was after the beating I told y'all about that I will never forget if I live as long as God himself. I'm going to beat you again. If they say they want to talk to you alone and you don't resist it, I'm going to beat you again. Someone is to be with you at all times. All right? Now, I only went to one of those sessions, and indeed, the woman was in there with me the whole time. Years later, he said to me, yeah, he was fussing at me about being grateful about something. He said, yeah, just like that suicide business, I made that go away because I didn't want you walking around here feeling like you was a guinea pig because you got to go see a therapist. So I used the fact that I'm a pastor and that someone else in the commune was a social worker. Your life is flagged for violent and criminal behavior. Okay, so we got to be careful on TikTok for how we talk about some of this stuff. I forgot TikTok is very sensitive.
I feel like somebody's reporting this.
They probably are reporting, but I forgot TikTok is also sensitive. They will flag you for using certain words. I forgot that. All right? Facebook won't bother you as much, but they might be reporting it too. But the other thing is, the reason why I go live on Facebook and TikTok is because I download all of these videos and I'm uploading them to YouTube. So even if I get banned from TikTok or whatever, the information will be made. The information is going to be available. Mommy was saving money since the late 70s, left in 2003, and only got $1,000. Okay, and this individual was in the church before me. I remember her mother, Ariel White. I remember her mother. Let's talk about the church savings account. My godmother had a church savings account, quote unquote. And she had saved up an amount of money. I don't know how much it was. And so that cruise that I mentioned, they decided they were going to go on a cruise. And she told the church that she wanted to use her money to take my mother and us on the cruise because otherwise we wouldn't have gone. So, cool. That money was supposed to be allocated for the cruise. Now, anytime I tell these stories based on being able to corroborate them with things that have been said publicly. Now, so Elder Johnson stood up in church and talked about my godmother having so much money saved with the church that he said, oh, we got to do something. We got to do something because she have all this money saved up. Someone, was D. Johnson spanking you? He wasn't spanking, he was beating my tail. Spanking would have been a Christmas present. So, my godmother paid for my mother and the four of us to go on the cruise. Remember I told y'all that my mother's father died and that my mother had gotten money from her father dying, but her grandmother was the executor of the estate, so she didn't give her everything because we was in this situation. Well, the woman had sent my mother $3,000 or something like that, and I told this story the other night. Sent my mother $3,000 for us to leave there. My mother called and said we were leaving, blah, 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 and she intended to leave. We had done packed up and everything, but then she called him and told him, I'm leaving, and he talked out of it and came and got the money. His explanation for getting the money, yeah, we're going to use this and pay for y'all to go on the cruise. Whole time, he already had the money from the cruise from that savings account that my godmother had with the church. Okay, so here we go. Here we go. Now, again, this is some things I didn't know. This individual, Will Green, was in the church when in the New York days. And he was there when I was a baby. So, according to him, he said, I personally dare any of them that say a thing about me. Let me go back because I pinned the comment. I personally dare any of them that say a thing about me. They all know who I am and know I can fill in all the blanks from the point of origin. He says, let me go back to the stream, that the joint account started with Bishop R.P. Johnson, and the son just continued in his ways. Oh, okay, Deacon White was your father. I didn't realize this. I remember your father, I remember you by name, but I don't remember seeing you at the church much. Threatening him to return his money from one of those so-called joint accounts. He got most of his money, but my mother never got all of hers. And so I know that a lot of money issues came up when the son took over because we'll join the live and tell your side too. Oh, we'll join the live. Will Green, he's saying join the live and tell your side too. If you're on TikTok, go to the TikTok stream and I can add you as a guest. Will Green. TikTok is DJ Long 971. I was the organist. Oh, okay, I do remember you. You and Martin, which is you and Martin both played. I remember. Okay, now I was very young then. This is about I was 4 years old because we moved to South Carolina. I do remember you. I remember you. The big black organ sitting on the pulpit. I remember you now. All right. So his story predates mine, and he. So Will, would you remember when my grandfather and grandmother came to the church, and would you remember my mother coming to the church, and more specifically, would you remember Faith Johnson being around any at that time to know whether or not my mother or grandmother came into the church broken? please answer those for me, because I don't want people to think I'm just talking based on what I'm thinking. Long, I got tea for you. Oh, that's one of my students. Shut up. I got tea for you. I remember when my mother told that story. Lovely Miss G. Oh, okay. Will Green, we would like to hear your side of the story. And I wish I knew how to bring him on Facebook Live. I wish I knew how to do it. I think that because I'm live on the website, I can't bring him on. But I tried being live in the app and couldn't get it done there either. If the father was a loving and kind pastor, where did Pastor Johnson get his evil ways? It had to stem from childhood or something. So I only can speak to what I knew about faith. Only came for 66. With Ariel, put a period or something on that if I don't get to talk about 66s. To this piece about if the pastor, Ella Johnson has got up and talked about things that he didn't like growing up from his father. And so, I don't know, but the other thing is, I don't know how to answer that. What I do know, and I won't say Bishop R.P. Johnson was a saint, because I only know what I knew of him when I grew up. But what I will say is this abuse wasn't the case. Now, I will say, I was just talking to someone else earlier, and I said open door, because the name of the church used to be Open Door. There's always been a control issue. There has always been this issue of, and I won't put that on Bishop a whole lot, but I won't say that he was innocent either, Bishop R.P. Johnson. But I can remember the older sister having a lot to say about things that I remember. When I got older, it was like, why would they have had any input in those decisions? So there was always a control issue. That control issue got far worse when we came to South Carolina, and maybe it's because the laws are a little different in New York. I don't know. Lord have mercy. Well, Ariel White said he was just like his son. Well, now here we go. This is where I'm going to differ from those that are smearing me, because you cannot discount somebody's story. So her story is what her story is, and Ariel, I don't know if you have TikTok, but you're certainly welcome to join, and I'll bring you on so you can talk about your part of it, because I don't know. I was a kid and when I say kid, I'm talking about I moved to South Carolina at 5 years old. So the Bishop Johnson that I knew, I don't have horror stories for. But if there are horror stories, he's just as wrong as Dwayne Johnson Sr. And I do agree that even when we talked about earlier, Tyrone's father doing what he did, that he had an anger issue. So I do agree that it all comes from somewhere. But Ariel, your brother's on here talking good. I'm telling you, he this long. I'm just trying to get them bounce houses before they go to auction, because you about to send them people to jail. But oh my Lord, man. I don't got nothing to say about that. Okay, here we go. Will Green said, yes, I remember all of them, and they did not come in broken from my perspective. In fact, Father Hunt, your grandfather, always argued with Pastor Johnson about unpaid carpentry work. I could write a book about stolen childhood, my journey of free labor in a church. But I tell you what, I think you got about 2 other co-authors with you right here. And I will say this. Free labor has always been a part of Open Door. So they had this thing called willing workers back in the day, where the brothers would be on the roof, repairing the roof, and redoing basements, and doing all of these things, and nobody getting paid for nothing. That's always been in the culture of Open Door. Willing workers, and what was it? Men on a Move, or something crazy like that. And that, now this goes all the way back to the Open Door days. So Ariel talked about them 66s. So let me talk about what a 66 was first. We had these services where we would go to church at 6 o'clock in the morning, and they would have a series of service. It was like a revival service. Somebody was getting paid. It just wasn't. It just wasn't the labor. Well, it was free labor because these brothers was doing the labor on the church for the pastor. So, in other words, the church was not paying these brothers for the work. That's the construct, and that continued from Will Green's days until I left. I can say that, and I don't think it ended when I left.
Nope.
I ain't there no more, but if I was a gambling man, I'm not, but if I was a gambling person, I would probably guess, I would bet that, it's either free labor or very cheap labor right now, I would have guessed. Just based on the fact that a zebra don't change its stripes, leopard don't change its spots, cheetah don't change its spots, you follow. Now, I don't want to create the narrative that the grown men were being beat. I don't want to do that because I don't think that ever happened for me to know. Mentally talked down to, yes. And now I will say mental abuse can be just as bad as physical abuse. I remember Ella Johnson going on a fit. So in the church in Somerton, there were three men. There were four men in all. One was an elder, and he was an assistant pastor at that time. Two of them were deacons, and one was a brother. And Ella Johnson got upset about something, and got up in church, and got to ranting and raving, and said, none of the brothers, none of them are deacons no more. Don't nobody call this one nor that one deacon nothing. They're brother this and brother that. And, if it's me, never mind. Yeah, mental can be worse. And the other thing is, so in regards to both of those individuals that I'm talking about that were deacons, both of them grew up with Ella Johnson, knew him as a child. So part of this is long-term connections that play a piece in it. One of them lived right next door, the other lived across the street. I will also say neither of those brothers are in the church anymore. Or neither of those men. Not one of those four men. Dog, none of them are in the church no more. I don't think it's a coincidence how they only took in women and not families with a mother and father. I agree. It also makes me wonder if there was any sexual abuse as well. Again, we cannot allege sexual abuse. I let everybody tell their own stories, but we can't allege sexual abuse based on my conversation. I wouldn't be surprised, and we're gonna handle that way. But women whose husbands were not in the picture were the target at that time, because they had this program called what did they call the program? Second Chance program, where it was we reunite mothers with their children and rescue them from the system. So I'm gonna say this. I don't think that in psychology they talk about degrees of gratification. That's the best way I know how to say this. I don't think that Dwayne Johnson Sr.'s need for gratification is based on sex. I think it's more so based on authority, power, and control. I will say this. He could have any of them women if he wanted them. I'll say that. Because, first of all, the idea is everybody wants to be connected to the Johnsons in some way. You better grab yourself some lemonade, sir. I don't need you getting dehydrated. I got me some water. I have me some water because I fixed me a cup of water so that I wouldn't get thirsty tonight. And I'm glad you said that because I am a little thirsty. Thank you.
Not gonna lie, as for the pay thing, even with Montana, I can't even count how many times I heard, oh, I can't pay you this week because it's about so much money. I can't pay you this week about so much money. That is
Yeah. So for
But
the
I didn't even care to be paid.
right, how does this affect your marriage and your wife individually? So my wife doesn't. She doesn't deal with these people. She has been down there, and I mean I don't deal with them either. How does it affect my marriage? That's a tough question because okay, when we first got married, I wasn't a good husband at all because of the fact that I was raised with this whole idea of the husband is the head, and that means I say you do, and that's the way it's gonna be. And Rose ain't the I say you do kind of a woman. So we clashed because of the fact that I really felt what my way is the highway. I'm the man. I'm the head. I had to learn that's not. Women are not second class citizens. Being under good leadership teaches you that we don't treat. Right now, the church is in this. Not the whole church, the body of Christ is in this whole construct about how to handle women in ministry. Now I'm gonna say right now, there are people who don't believe in women pastors. Don't bring that to me because my grandmother was a pastor and that's how I got the church I got. So don't come to me with that because we don't treat women like God created them as an afterthought. But Brianna, to answer your question, honestly, I'm learning to be better, and I'm learning. The fact of the matter is, I'd have left me a long time ago. That's just a flat out truth. That is just a flat out truth. Because I hate to say this, but I will. Although I detested Ella Johnson, and it took me years to acknowledge this. Although I detested Ella Johnson and everything that he stands for, I found that in a lot of ways, not talking about abusing people and manipulating people, but this whole, I live the life that I want, and people just don't question me, and people don't leave me wondering whether or not they're going to be loyal. Even as a pastor, I had to learn, this is not have faith, I am not him. People can come and go as they please, and you have to be okay with people being adults. Because in our construct, leaving the church meant you didn't love God no more and all that. So imagine how that translates for me as a pastor when someone decides. First of all, let me talk about me as a person. I deal with abandonment issues. I connect to people easily, and departures and goodbyes, it takes me sometimes years to recover from them. I'm learning now that you don't go into any relationship, friendship, whatever. And when I say relationship, I'm not talking about inappropriate stuff. You don't go in expecting everybody to just be around forever. Seasons change, people come and go. And that's life. That's the way it goes. Now, as a husband, I'm learning that love is not, I pay the bills and I make sure you're good. Because I can remember another story where Sister Johnson had to get up in front of the church and apologize because she said some things about her husband in front of another member. Now, I mean, if it was me, I probably would have, I don't know. It just didn't make sense that she's apologizing in front of the whole church when the whole church didn't even know that man put gas in my car. And I'm talking trash because she was frustrated about whatever. And so this idea of what a man is supposed to be is something that, to be honest, I'm still learning. Still learning how to be a good father without being domineering and expecting my children to. I never wanted my children to be scared of me. And so I had to learn what do you expect when you're fussing and you're ranting and raving and all of that. I won't go into my personal life right now tremendously, but I will tell you one story of something that I did that was just completely stupid. I was calling my wife, and this is a long time ago, so please understand, my wife ain't the type of person to be abused. I can assure you of that. I was calling my wife and she didn't answer the phone, and I got so upset because she didn't answer the phone. And I walked in the house, got home, and I started fussing about why didn't you answer the phone. She said I was watching TV or whatever. And I went and knocked the TV off the stand. What is that? We've been married now 15 years. We were 2 or 3 years into marriage at this time. What is that? And where does that come from? Because here's the issue. If you don't deal with your trauma, it don't go away. Good Lord, y'all going back to the, oh boy, the tea is coming back up. Lord have mercy. And so, as a husband and as a father, I'm learning to be better because I don't want to recreate what's happening right now. Yeah, having to ask for permission to go to a school dance, missing Friday night service. And I will even go further. Let me go back to this piece that I was just talking about. Because I had no voice growing up, when I got grown and could have a voice, oh, everybody heard me. And I made sure everybody heard me. All right? Now, the fact of the matter is just because people hear you, that don't mean they want to hear you. This is exactly why I can't have a conversation. So for all of those that are talking about talk to him, I can have a conversation with him right now to this day because the fact of the matter is I really don't want to hear anything that Dwayne Johnson Sr. has to say unless it starts with, I'm wrong for saying XYZ and wrong for doing XYZ. He'll rant and... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Just saying, which might not ever happen.
And that, now,
Never see that they wrong.
that's another piece of trauma. Knowing that you'll have to live with the apology that you'll never get. Because, okay, here we go. I really don't want to be very, I don't want to, I want to control how transparent I get because I'm unpacking a lot of stuff, even talking about some of this. But for a long time, a part of my emotional issues was even though I'm not there anymore, I wanted them to accept that I'm doing well. Because the construct growing up was it wasn't good until Ella Johnson said it was good, even if you gave it your best. I shall never forget one of the preachers preaching, Elder Langhorne preaching, and he preached to me and the young people what we thought was a pretty good message. Only for Ella Johnson to get up and destroy it. He talked about running alongside of your leader, looking ahead, seeing trouble to make sure that you get trouble out of the way, blah, blah, blah. Now, in effect, it was also a brown nosing session that went completely wrong. Because Ella Johnson got up, don't nobody run beside me. You'll see something and get scared. You stay behind me. And I remember us talking as young people saying, we thought the message was pretty good. Apparently, he didn't think it was so good. So, the idea is, as a grown person, sometimes I have to fight not needing validation. Not needing someone to say, good job. Not needing somebody to say, hey, attaboy, you did it. So now I do this frequently. I was in a professional development session one time for work. And the person said, I want everybody in here to tell me 3 good things about yourself. Yeah, and Nisha, I'm trying to control that. And the others call him by his new titles. I'm trying to control that because I really try not to use the title. But it's almost instant. For me, right now, sitting in this chair saying Dwayne Johnson Sr. sounds so foreign. And I've been gone 16 years. She said the fact that you're still calling him Elder Johnson says a lot. I struggle with getting that out of my system. Oh, but it's going to get out. But, so I was in a professional development session, and they said, I want you to say 3 good things about yourself. And I couldn't come up with 3 good things that I could say about me. Now, if it's Tyrone, for instance, who's on this TikTok with me, I have no trouble saying you're resilient and you're strong and you're doing well for yourself, and despite what you went through, you conquered, you survived, yada, yada, yada. I can run off good things for other people, but I realized sitting in that session, I could not think of 3 good things to say about myself. So now I practice saying something good about me, not for the sake of being arrogant, but for the sake of saying I'm worthy. I'm worth attention from myself. I'm worth acknowledging that I have surpassed goals and took on obstacles and done great things. I'm worth being able to pause to celebrate small victories on the way to big victories. But that sounds so foreign because I have been publicly rebuked for singing in a way that looked prideful. I was just doing what I will never forget. I used to be the cameraman for the church because we used to record the services. And we were in service, and for some reason, the question was asked. Oh, I didn't do so well with being the cameraman because I would, I don't know, doze off or whatever. He'd be one place and the camera would be somewhere else. So I wasn't a good cameraman, whatever. And he got upset. The camera always something else, something. And we wasn't in service. I'm sorry, we were in a meeting. We were in a meeting. It was a church meeting. So church meetings and church services, you can almost, apples and apples. They weren't very different. So he asked, do you even want to do the camera? I said, not really. I was just doing it to be obedient. Don't nobody need you doing nothing to be obedient. You just go through your sacrifice. Because they love that scripture in the Bible that says to be obedient is better than to sacrifice. Now, how you going to ask me and then get mad at my answer? So to the point that Tyrone said, you learn to lie because you better not say nothing but what they want to hear, whether it's true for you or not. And so that's the fact that you're successful and independent will irk them. So Ella Johnson made a statement, Dwayne Johnson made a statement. Dwayne Johnson made a statement after I left. This was after I left in the first year, I would get these calls. I need to have a meeting. And it was always a conversation about trying to get me to come back. He said to me, and I quote, no matter where you go and no matter what you do, you'll always be a feather in my cap because you came from here.
Sure.
Okay. I think not. You get nothing for anything that I'm doing now. Nothing. The fact that I'm giving you this much energy is bothering to me because for years, and when I say this much energy, I'm talking about sitting here on this live 2 hours and 15 minutes, still talking about your crazy behind. The fact that I'm doing this is bothering to me because it's too much energy for him as an individual. But at this point, the system needs to be exposed. So at what age did the abuse physically stop? Because you ran away at 18, I believe you said, right? Okay. Junior Earl Ray, that flight attendant be showing out on Facebook. You sure she still go to that church? I don't know, and I'm not at liberty to speak on that flight attendant. At what age did the abuse stop physically? The last time that there was physical contact, I was 18 years old, and Elder Johnson slapped blood out of my. I keep calling the man Elder Johnson. He slapped blood out of my mouth. As a matter, and this was after having stood and watched all of the other boys about to get a beating for something, and he went to start beating one, and they said, "Man, I don't got time for this. Y'all just put your clothes on." And he gave me the green paddle to go in the kitchen and wash it, and the rest of the boys left, and him and Ella Brayford were left in the what was called the big room at the school. And I came back in to give the paddle, and then he started fussing with me about what he was fussing about. And well, ain't no need of me lying to you. I'll tell you what he was fussing about. That same girl that's married to his son, at the time, we called ourselves kind of trying to talk. And Ella Brayford found out about it and told him. And so he said, and I quote, "You ain't gonna talk to her. She's like my daughter," and slapped me in the face. And blood came from my mouth. Interestingly enough, 5 years or so after that, your daughter married your son. So they made you strip down every time they beat you? Yeah, you ain't get no beating with no clothes on.
Exactly.
You ain't get no beating with no clothes on. We all, whoever was going to get a beating that day, if it was 2, if it was 3, if it was 5, you just take everything off, stand in line and wait. Tyrone, okay, let's do it. Tyrone, who is the one person that nobody wanted to wait on to get their beating?
Jared.
Nobody wanted to wait on Jared. Because Jared would prolong his beating so bad. And we had to wait on him to finish so we can get ours. At 18, so basically you were still afraid to fight him. I couldn't fight him. I mean, I was smaller than what I am now. So I couldn't fight him.
Fight? Yeah.
And he believed in working out. Now he's supposed to have a knee that don't work, but he'll run 7 miles with no problem. Very athletic. Sir, okay, and fighting him never would have come across my mind. This is the same individual I told you picked me up over my head and over his head and threw me on the ground. So fighting him never would have crossed. The truth be told, when I first started doing this kind of a thing, well, I officially went live for the first time about him 3 years ago. That was kind of traumatizing. Because nobody does this. Nobody who has ever left ever came out against him like this. I'm the first. Tyrone, am I lying? Because I don't want to sound like I'm tooting my horn. Am I lying?
Not at all.
I'm the only one, or I won't say only because at this point that's changing. But I'm the first one out of everybody who left who ever publicly said he's beating us and did all kind of crazy stuff. And so he said to me in a meeting that I had with him back in 2021, yeah, I lost a lot of money because of you, because you were running around, man, and talking about me. Now, he said that to me out of his own mouth. And the truth be told is that he might have lost some money, but that didn't have nothing to do with me, because when I first left, I wasn't brave enough to open my mouth, and I didn't stay in Manning long after I left there. As a matter of fact, I was only in Manning about 2 weeks, and then I came to Florence, and I was really going to New York. Does he have a military background? No. He ain't never been in no military.
My father did.
Tyrone's father was in the military, but Dwayne Johnson was not in the military. My mother, that you call,
made him second in command.
my mother that you call Aunt Dot wants to talk to you. I'm going to send a message to you. Okay. Let me. My goodness. Okay, let me not let me not get on. I can't do the messaging right now. I can't read those messages right now. I see the messages. I see the messages. I see the messages. That's what I'll say. I thought that was him on your live. Yeah, that's him. Tyrone, I don't know if you remember Kiara that used to sing with Soul Food Jazz on Facebook. She's saying hi.
I remember her.
Oh, okay, he remembers you. It's the guy over the bounce houses, right? He's the pastor. No, two different individuals. He is a pastor in the organization, but the head honcho is Dwayne Johnson. The one over the bounce houses is Tyrone Brailsford. Senior. Yep, excuse me. Let me make it clear. Tyrone Brailsford Senior. Tyrone Brailsford Jr. is who's on TikTok tonight. Well, we live in a different time now, and you're an adult. I'm Boosie Boo. I don't know your real name. All right. He probably put something in that cologne. I don't know. We don't know what was in the cologne, but I know he has worn the same thing for years, and it's a distinguishable scent. If I smelled it right now, I would know it. I can smell it right now without being anywhere near it. I can remember the smell of it. Devon, I'd like to request that you lead us in prayer before you end your live. Okay, I can definitely do that. And I am about to end it because last night we were on 3 hours and here we are 2.5 hours, and goodness gracious. And the thing of it is now, let me say this. My name is Tion, brother. Sir, I appreciate you engaging. And now you're radical. You're radical. How do you think Johnson treats his wife? I think. Oh boy. I think nobody better not upset him. That's what I'll say. I don't want to. I really don't care about him suing me. I really don't, because I think that we all know that this stuff, they don't want it in a courtroom. Okay, I can tell a story. Let's tell a story. You can't sue me for telling a story. I had to go to something for something. And so Sister Johnson took me. Okay, Soul Food Jazz started giving me little $30 checks for being their roadie. And this was when, as a matter of fact, Kiara, this is, I think, right after the time that you all started raising sound about not getting paid for singing. So the musicians started getting little checks. Now, it wasn't much, but whatever. So they started giving me $30. So we had a month where we had about 4 or 5 gigs. You went to school with me? You're going to have to tell me who you are, because I can't remember you, and I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry, I don't remember who you are. I had to go to something to cash the checks, because the checks needed to be cashed at Wachovia. So Sister Johnson was going to something, so I rode with her, and another sister in the church was with her. Now, I'm going to pin your comment, Nisha, because we'll talk about this too. So we went to something and got the checks cashed, blah, 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 whatever. We were coming back. On the way back, she stopped at McDonald's and got some food. And we were driving. We had met, Ella Johnson was at the bank with another brother in the church. So for whatever reason, they all met up at the bank. I went in, cashed the little checks that I had, and I went back to get in the car. I really thought Ella Johnson was gonna make me come with him. Really, I was surprised that he let me get back in the car with his wife. But in any case, went to McDonald's and she got some ice cream and fries or whatever. I think it was ice cream and fries because she was dipping the fries in the ice cream, and I thought it was a weird combination. And as she was driving, he must have caught up to us because we left the bank before he did. That's how she had time to go to McDonald's. But hey, go tell your mama I think her stuff is getting cooked. He caught up with us, and she had the McDonald's bag and hurried up and folded it down and dropped it down beside her side, like, hide this, so that he wouldn't see that she had been to McDonald's. That's the story. I'll leave you to draw your own conclusions. I think he gaslights and manipulates her to feel like she's being treated well, and deep down is control and fear. Well, I'm gonna tell you, she ain't a walk in the park herself. She like I said, she can be nice, but Lord no. Okay, here go another one of these stories. I'm told. Let me say it like this. I'm told there was an issue with something regarding my mother, and this was before the alcohol days. This was in the Somerton days. Someone they told her whatever about my mother, whatever, and I'm told they were standing on the front porch of the church talking, and the individual who was also in the meeting with them said that she said to my mother, "Sister Ronnie, you ain't nothing but a B." Another story that was told to me directly, and I won't say by whom. Now, when I was younger, I said ugly things. I used to say bad words. And so me and one of the young ladies that used to be, that I grew up with, we were fussing back and forth or whatever. And the girl said something, and I said, "Whatever, B." She said, "I don't care if you call me a B." Sister Johnson said, "All girls are B's." They had just had some meeting at the lighthouse where all of the girls were on the other side of the lighthouse and shut off, so we couldn't hear what they were talking about. And so that was one of the takeaways from that meeting, according to this young lady. Again, let me say, I'm not encouraging anybody to go to them people's place. Because I see this stuff on this. I ain't encouraging, and I'm not even saying it for fear. I'm not saying it because I'm scared. I promise you I'm not. But what I want to make sure is that they can't, when we go to court, if we go to court, if they try to sue, I don't want it to be said that I'm trying to incite violence against a church service. That is a charge, and I don't play about my teaching license. So I ain't telling nobody to go nowhere. I ain't part of that plan. And this ain't about Ella Johnson, Dwayne Johnson. This ain't about Have Faith. This is about me. So let me make that abundantly clear. I'm not encouraging nobody. I'm not encouraging anyone. Y'all making me forget my proper English. I'm not encouraging anybody to go on that property.
But if you, no, I'm just playing. I didn't tell you about this, but after a while, after we got grown up, he started becoming really insecure. Like, he called us upstairs, the rest of us that were there, like me, Josh, Deshaun, and a few others, talking about, if my wife wants to hug y'all, don't do it because y'all are getting too touchy with my wife.
Oh, it is so crazy that you say that, because that wasn't new. That goes all the way back to the Somerton days. I will never forget being 5 or 6 years old when we first came to South Carolina. Two things that I just won't forget. If I just won't, well, it's a lot I won't forget. To your point about, he said, "Don't hug my wife because you stop," which is stupid, because my wife didn't even like the way that he hugged her when she first met him. So that, don't hug your wife, but you don't even know, because in church we have what's called church hugs. The way a brother, first of all, I try not to do a lot of hugging with the sisters because we in a different generation these days. But it's always a shoulder tap and to the side. You ain't flowing heart to heart, and you not flowing breast to chest. You don't do that. But to your point, Tyrone, in Somerton, I remember I was about 5 or 6 years old. I taught elementary school. I worked in an elementary school for a little while. 5 and 6 year olds hug everybody. Such was the case for me. After church, everybody had to greet everybody. You have to go and shake everybody's hand and say peace or peace be. It's typically peace when you are first meeting them, when you first greet them, and then peace be. So After church, you greet everybody, shake hands, peace be. And so there you go. You just take their hand and then shoulder to shoulder. Thank you. Somebody just confirmed what I just said. That's called a church hug. And really, if you can avoid hugging, just shake hands. If you're a brother. All right? Now, as a 5-year-old, I hugged her, and I mean, I don't know how tall I was in comparison to her at 5 years old. Ella Johnson, the man comes and says, stop this boy from hugging y'all. I'm watching him try to touch your behind. I didn't even know what he was saying. I'm 5 years old. Nothing like that is on my mind. So that's not new. He been like that. And as a matter of fact, so much so to the point that I remember being grown and when I got arrested for, this is the one time I can think of when Ella Johnson, when he actually stood up for me. It's only 1 or 2 times. This is one of them. When I stole a coat, I got picked up from jail. And an individual, I won't call her name because her name came up last night, and I'm really trying to avoid that conversation. Just because I'm trying to avoid that conversation. Not because I can't talk about it, it's just too much to talk about. But when I got picked up from jail, she was riding with the individual that picked me up from jail, not Ella Johnson's wife, someone else. And she said, I can't believe your stupid self. You're going to go to Walmart and steal a coat. You curse with a curse. I don't even want to go to court with you. The whole time I'm like, I don't want you to go to court with me. They run your name, they're going to throw me under the jail because they're going to figure I got it from you. That's your hint. That's your hint, Tyrone. So then we get to the restaurant and Sister Johnson was upset too. I don't quite remember what she said, but no one else really said nothing to me about being in jail for stealing the coat. That Sunday, Ella Johnson got up to preach, and I fully expected a show because anytime anything happens, you can expect the next service to be dedicated to whatever happened. This is the one time that Dwayne Johnson made me drop my jaw. He got up and he said, and I quote, if anybody been bothering this young man about what happened, you better get to him and fix it before I get to him to find out who said anything, because every one of us done went through the line and put something in our pocket or did something that we shouldn't have done as far as in the grocery store or in the store. That is the one memory that I have. There's another where I got an award from Manor High School for having a 3.5 something GPA, and they gave me a trophy, and he claimed based on the conversation I had with him in 2021 that he still has that trophy. Those are the 2 times that I knew that I can tell you that he actually has something good to say about me. Yeah, so there was a lot of talk earlier about buying prayer pillows. This individual said at Ella Johnson Church they used to pray on their knees while he stood up and used to be like, I ain't going for all that. I just used to sit down while they did that. I don't know who this is, but yeah, we did used to have to kneel down and pray. And you would kneel and pray until he came out of the office, and then he would get in the mic and he would do his part with praying, and then everyone would start. And you didn't pray quietly. That wasn't an option. You got to be loud. As a matter of fact, I was the sound tech for the church. Well, these stories do push people. I want to talk about that. I ain't even going to tell the story I was about to tell. Let me talk about this. These stories do push people away from going to church, but I know my home church ain't nothing like this. But folks, don't let these cult churches push y'all away. This is paramount. I am telling you story. Oh, Roderick. Okay, got you. I'm telling you story after story after story. And here I am today. I pastor 3 churches. And I work with 3 others besides the 3 that I pastor that are part of the network. And the whole purpose is 2 things. 1, to be a support to leaders that I didn't get, because the church is a funny world. The church is a funny world in general. We do a lot of stuff that we shouldn't do, and we treat people in ways that we shouldn't treat them. And I think that we can do better with that. The church can be very cliquish. One of the things that made me, I would not lie to you and tell you that my faith was never tested to the point that I questioned what did I believe. I won't tell you that lie. I will tell you, when I left from there, the bishop always called me preacher man. I told y'all that. I started in ministry for myself as a minister under my grandmother in 2011, I think. No, I'm sorry. It was March 14th, there we go. March 14th of 2010. I started pastoring in late 2011. Now, I will tell you, I probably shouldn't have opened no church in No, I didn't start pastoring in 2011. I started pastoring in 2012. Earlier years, they didn't celebrate holidays, but it was not because they didn't believe in holidays. It was because they went away from most of them, and we did tricks. And but now I think, and that he said, and I quote, "We're not spending that money decorating. We just go out of town." But now they are decorating and doing things and whatever. So, yeah. But now a lot of the years that I spent in ministry were not the most healthy, because in all honesty, I started in ministry because the bishop told me I was going to be a preacher. I always knew that I had a calling to preach, but I did not allow time to process me, to prepare me. For instance, I didn't heal enough from what I was dealing with in order to be a voice to people who would need healing. Not all them years ago. In all honesty, I started preaching because that I only knew church, right? And so when you got to go to jail to get a break, it's got to be bad, okay? I ain't lying. And it didn't, and I ain't even get a break, because when I got out of jail, I had to go set up the system for the jazz night at the restaurant. But so I also felt the other thing that led me to ministry was, why did they have people follow y'all around at school at one point? Junior L. Ray, I'm going to unpin your post, finish answering your question, but I'm going to pin this post. This question, rather. Because, see, they say stuff like this never happened. So these kinds of things are the things that need to be definitely talked about. So, yeah, the other thing that made me become very active in ministry, aside from calling and because church was the only thing I knew and needing to be accepted, is I also really, really felt somebody got to show people that God is not this stuff that comes out. Right? So the idea is, and now that's becoming more pure to me. So I find that ministry is more pleasurable to me because I'm having the opportunity to begin to operate in what is the purity of ministry. That is loving people and showing them God through you. That is loving people no matter what they come with, no matter what their baggage is, no matter who they are. Treating people with respect, because that's what God, the Bible literally says, follow peace with all men. There are no disclaimers to that. You don't get to be ugly to people because you wear a collar, or because your bank account is big, or because you drive nice, or you dress nice. You don't get to do that. You don't get to do that. So is anyone getting molested? I'm going to say no to not to my knowledge. All right. I do remember how sad you used to look. I'm glad you're doing great. Prayers for your grandma. Why did they have people follow y'all around at school at one point? Control. Control. Because the fact of the matter is, we couldn't have been. Now, there are one or two isolated incidents. There are one or two people that I think was, if we're going to talk about bad children, I don't like the term bad children. If we're going to talk about people who, if we're going to talk about individuals who the school would classify as challenging children, Two people immediately come to mind. They're cousins. One is older, one is significantly younger. Both of them was getting in trouble all the time. One of them did graduate from Manning High School. The other, unfortunately, dropped out of school because he never finished. He never finished school because he dropped out and left. He ran away, and so he didn't finish school. That's the story of quite a few of them. A few of the young men. Yeah, one, two immediately come to mind.
I remember Jared used to.
Okay, that one stayed getting in trouble. So, the purpose was to try and keep that presence of we're watching you, and even made it seem like the school. Now, I'm trying to be very, very, very careful with how I say some of this stuff because, again, some of this stuff indicts other people. Some of this stuff made people who are not a part of the daily doings in this whole thing look a little bad. Because as a principal, why did you have someone walk in your hallways like that? And that's not just one school. Someone said it makes sense because I went to school with Jared. That's who I'm talking about. That's who I'm talking about. So did anyone else outside the cult attend the church who knew about this and didn't say anything? The answer to that is yes. But once you get in, they don't show you immediately. It's almost like you're worked in and one day you open your eyes. So someone said it to me like this. Someone who was a part of it and left said it to me like this. One day you open your eyes and realize, oh my God, I'm in this. And I'm in this and it's not right. But they still, for whatever reason, it's tough for anyone to say anything once you've been there. Like I said, I am the first to have ever sounded an alarm publicly about this, no matter how many of us talk in private. Because this is the thing. There are those of us who have left, who have private conversations since I left there, and certainly since they left. So it's not that we've not been talking. It's just fear kept us really from talking publicly. As a matter of fact, the last time this became a deal, 3 years ago, one individual who is no longer there said, please don't ask me to take a side. They already called me and asked me, and I said, I don't got nothing to do with it. And I said to the individual, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to implicate no one else because I'm the one making this mess. And that didn't go nearly as viral as all of this is going. So,
And I don't know nothing. I know I can't be up too much longer, but
yeah.
the fact that I know there's a lot of people that are questioning life there and this and the other, but it's not even about the fact that, the stuff that we've been through, but I know that you know how some of us made an attempt to leave and they still came after us and brought us back to the...
Absolutely. So, to that point, and then finish your statement. My brother got up and walked from Alcaloo to Sumter Walmart. And when he got there, they seen him kind of hanging around, so they called the cops. Cops picked him up and took him to a shelter for children in Sumter. It's called the Greenhouse. Ella Johnson showed up. Dwayne Johnson showed up at the shelter wearing his full clergy. My brother said. Came in his collar, his robe, and all of this. And so when they seen clergy, they let him in to try and talk to my brother. I'm not going to use the words that my brother used because I don't want to use those words. But my brother said he felt for the first time in his life he had backup. And the conversation was, if you come back, we'll act like this never happened. And so my brother said for the first time he felt he had backup, he knew that Johnson couldn't do nothing to him. He said he looked at him and said, man, you got to be crapping me. And And when the people seen that he was getting upset, they said, "Oh no, you're upsetting the boy. You got to go." And when he left, my brother said he told him he's the reason why I'm here. I never want to talk to him again. You will not get my brother on one of these lives because he's still triggered by them. My brother is very antisocial. I go years and don't see him. We talk, but he don't come up here. He went to Charleston. He made a life for himself, and he so much. My brother is so antisocial. I'm not going to get into the fullness of this because I'm not going to tell his story. But my brother is so antisocial that at one point he chose to be homeless down in Charleston. And he told us about it after the fact because he didn't want to ask us for help. Living in what they call Tent City, he told me. I ain't from Charleston, so I don't know where Tent City is. I know we had a little tent city in Florence, but they got rid of it. Because I'm sure they live all across Manor. If they turned a blind eye, they might be leading our churches in Manor, and they knew. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, and now, I try to be very careful with the conversation because I'll be honest with you. I say do a financial audit because when we follow the money, you'll see what needs to be seen. And let me say this the best way I know how to say it without saying it. I've seen a lot of people that are being tagged in these videos who are a part of the upper echelon in Manning. And I noticed that I ain't seen a whole lot of response from them. And I'll just say that like that. To be honest, only one elected official has sent word that they're looking into this and they're going to investigate. I mean, again, I didn't start all this with no real end in mind. So yesterday when someone asked, what are you looking for? What do you want out of this? What's the end? When I went live Saturday, I was just mad about my grandmother. I'm not even the one who brought up the abuse first. Someone asked, I believe it is about Tyrone, and it went from there. Right? And so the idea is that all of this stuff that has been being said, and someone, and I'm not going to call this person's name because I tend not to call the names of people who are not directly in the day-to-day, and this person not a part of this at all. But the other day on one of the lives asked the question, how come no adult said anything if we were kids and could sense that something was off? And as an educator, I have children that are my children. In other words, children that I adopted as my children. Some of my students was on this TikTok live. One of them came earlier and talking about, I got tea for you. You can tell when something's off. You can tell when something's off. You can also tell when a child is not coming from a normal situation. So I think that folk are being very careful right now because it's no different than what we're looking at with this whole thing with the Epstein list. That when your name is put in them files, now everyone wants to know, how are you affiliated and what did you know? Because the fact of the matter is, now I know that security at schools wasn't I know it's different now than it was back then. But I was sitting in class, in drama class. I told this story the other night. And Dwayne Johnson, my mother, and Sister Langhorn just popped up in my class. When y'all take these big trips, what do y'all do? They'll go to some theme parks or what have you, sightsee, some will shop. but I ain't gonna tell. I won't lie to you. I can also say there has been time we took big trips and did nothing. They, was in the hotel. Here we go. Here we go. Nisha Charlene said, I was a child and knew. So the adults involved witnessed, etc., and were definitely turning a blind eye. So I think what part of what it is, and I said this to someone else that I talked to, I know it's something going on, but I don't want to touch that because I don't want to be the one. The problem with that is, here we are all these years later. And who is Dot? Someone said Miss Dot. All right. Sir, please allow me, for the sake of, because of who that individual is, I'm not going to say, because I don't want anyone to have a wrong picture of, well, no, ain't no need of me doing it. Let's do it. That's his aunt, and she's nothing like him. She was in Alcaloo. She packed up and left. Aunt Dot is his aunt. His father's sister. She came, okay, so, Lord help me. Oh boy. She came down with a granddaughter, who she, from what I understand, I think she helped raise the girl or something like that. He moved that granddaughter in his house, and this Aunt Dot was in the house with my grandmother. Aunt Dot said to my grandmother, based on conversations that my grandmother told me, Aunt Dot said, I don't know where she is, but I think she's with her children up in New Jersey or somewhere like that. Aunt Dot told my grandmother, you praying about getting out. Some things you don't need God to do, you need to do something. And Aunt Dot packed up and got out of there. She couldn't get her granddaughter because of the fact that her granddaughter was living in his house. Now, based on the fact that I was officially trespassed as of June 28th, today's Monday, right? As of June 28th, 5:26 p.m., I was officially trespassed from 1245 Cooter Creek Road. Based on the fact that that happened, I'm told that he trespassed his own cousins because they came down to try and get that girl that's living in his house. I'm told. I can't prove that. I don't know whether that's true or not, but I can prove that I was trespassed. I was trespassed because I got the paperwork. I made sure it was sent to me to prove that they're making an active effort to make sure that I don't contact my grandmother. Is this the pastor that had the woman living in the basement with him and his wife? Yeah, no, I don't know nothing about that. I don't know nothing about that. Jerry Harris, he was on last night talking a little bit. Not last night. He wasn't on last night. He was on the other night talking a little bit. I don't know where he is. The fact of the matter is, before the other night, I had not seen or heard from Jerry Harris in years.
Oh, Jerry was on?
Yeah, he was on Saturday night, and he went and commented true and so sad on a couple of things. Because he got his own story to tell. Jerry kind of put me in the mind of this young Tion, Boosie Boo. He was very radical. This was... I had one conversation with Jerry since I left, and Jerry was so radical that it made me nervous. I was like, "Oh no, I got to fall back. I ain't on that kind of." He was on that "We Ride at Dawn" kind of stuff. I can't fool up with that.
He was one of the few that when he first left, they kept bringing him back.
Yep, kept getting him to come back. Until he finally ran away for the last time. What he did, he was cutting grass and left the push mower in the middle of the field. Yeah, that was the last time. But oh no, I can't tell other people's story. But when we talk about running away, because they want to make it seem like everyone just lying, I ran away in 5th grade. So this is talking about running away before leaving But Jerry was one of the ones, along with two other young men, who jumped out of a window and ran away. And I know they jumped out of the window. Now I'm grown. I can admit it. I knew they were going to run away, and I watched them leave. And they had a poster board that they done made up where they were advertising, trying to stupidness.
As a matter of fact, and before I hop on, to this day, as far as I know, because I knew how they were when people leave and they try to bring them back, I drove from South Carolina all the way to Washington State because I knew they were not coming to get me.
Just in case y'all not clear on Facebook, for what he just said, he got in the car and drove from South Carolina, and I do remember this, drove from South Carolina to the state of Washington so that he could get out of their reach, because he didn't want them coming back to try and get him to come back. I missed the explanation, and I hate to ask again. Please explain about Dwayne Jr., the younger son, and his wife. Why did they want that girl specifically for him? I won't say they wanted her for him, because my understanding is that he's the one that said God told him to marry her. That's what I was told. But the other thing is, prior to him, I heard that just 2 weeks before he announced that he was going to marry her, that he was actually dealing with another one of the young ladies that was there. And it ain't no secret that he has had interactions of some sort, relationship. I don't know if it, again, again, please hear me good. I'm not alleging sexual assault. Because what I understand, well, I ain't going to say what I understand. What I know of one instance, it wasn't sexual, primarily, and it was not coercion in the sense of him forcing that individual. She liked him, he liked her. When it came out, they just didn't like them two people being together. But I will say that when he came out and said, God said that this is my wife, from what I understand, he was on a cruise. First of all, that's where he proposed to the girl. And so they were in a position where they couldn't get word back right away about it. But I heard that when his mother heard about it, that she was livid. I heard she was livid. I also, never mind, I'll leave it alone. Cause I don't.
Mind you, he was her English teacher for the last year of her class. We were in the same class together, so that's weird.
And he was 10 years older than her. But, you know, for whatever reason, they together, and they having children and whatever, do it.
I'll say this, and I'll drop that whole marriage conversation. Her and I had a conversation while I was still in the cult. She had no intention of marrying me.
So he said her and I had a conversation while he was in the cult, and she had no intention on marrying him. And so, now, was y'all allowed to leave once you turn a certain age? No, no one is allowed to leave. Now, they will swear out this is hyperbole, and people can come and go as they want to, and yada, yada, yada. If that's the case, I hate that I didn't record it, but if that's the case, why did my grandmother say, please just go, I'll find another way to leave. I'll get out some other kind of way. That's what my grandma said to me Saturday. Why did my mother have to pack up a room and not let her mama know until the last minute that she was leaving? Because now we talking about grown people now. Because the fact of the matter is, ain't nobody, LOL, the guy I dealt with got married on a cruise ship as well back in December 25. Yeah, that's the last of the nuptials that happened with those wonderful, interesting circumstances. So no, you're not allowed to leave, and if you act like you're gonna leave, the first thing they're gonna do is gonna make it where somebody watching you all the time. I don't know if them houses still got them security systems on them, but I talked about this last night. I lived in a house where the security alarm was put on, and I did not know the code. Me and the veteran that was my godmother's brother. So yeah, no one is technically allowed to leave, but if you make it out by some stretch of the imagination, you're excommunicated, you're cursed, you're gonna die, and nothing good is gonna happen for you. That's the verbiage for every single one. All right. So again, it's been 3 hours, and I said I wasn't gonna be on here no 3 hours tonight. The request was that I pray before we end the live. And so one of the girls mentioned getting kicked out because she was pregnant. So was that the only way? Okay. I think that was a different circumstance back then because I don't think that Dwayne Johnson. Okay. Lord help me. Oh boy. Oh, Lord help me. So I think, and I don't know if she's still on, I think that was under the jurisdiction of Bishop R.P. Johnson, and she would have to tell you about that story with regards to getting kicked out because of being pregnant. Because oh boy, Lord help me.
That's gonna be a story for another day.
Okay, let me go with one that's easy to talk about. When Dwayne Johnson Jr., from what I heard, I was not here, but from what I heard, announced that he and DeQuanda were getting married. From what I heard, the wedding was supposed to be in December of whatever year that was. And come around about October, November, there was a breast cancer awareness event that they have every year, and all of a sudden, the breast cancer awareness event turned into a wedding. And Dwayne and DeQuanda got married. And a baby was physically being held 9 months to the day. Well, I can't say to the day because I don't know the day. But around 9 months later, there was a baby. And from what I'm told, Tyrone, were you still there when all this went down?
Oh, I was forced to record the wedding.
Okay, he recorded the wedding. So what I'm told, confirm this, if it's not right, please correct me. From what I'm told, it was said that, y'all had a baby fast, and it was said that she got pregnant on the honeymoon.
Oh, they had it fast, and so did the sister of the woman.
Okay. I only know. Oh, Lord, I need to get off this line. So I don't think anyone is getting. I don't know how to say. Lord, please, God, we need to pray. We need to pray. I don't think anybody getting kicked out for being pregnant no more.
Not at all.
Jared is on, Tyrone. He said, "What's up?" Jared, I done been on here for 3 hours, and so I would tell you to go to TikTok, and I'll invite you on, but if you start talking, I know, and we talked about you earlier, too. Me and Tyrone, on behalf of the boys who grew up in Have Faith, have agreed that you were the worst behaved.
You made all of our beatings on it.
You made you prolonged all of the beatings. Now, let me say this for people who are watching. Okay, so we're not making light of what happened. I don't know how to explain that part. We get it. And so we're not making light, we're not joking off what we just got through talking about. They said come back tomorrow. Y'all, who said I'm coming back tomorrow? I can't do this every day now. Lord have mercy. I didn't know the BET Awards. Tyrone, I didn't know the BET Awards was on last night. I seen a post earlier. My name on TikTok, DJ Long 971. I seen the a post earlier that said these lives got people saying forget the BET Awards. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't pay that no attention. But then tonight I seen that someone said they chose not to watch the BET Awards in order to watch this. Okay, I don't, you know. So how did you manage to get those crooks out without your mom knowing? I took the police with me because I didn't know exactly what was going to happen. I did not know that they were out of town. And my mother informed me that there was a camera on the house, so I knew they were going to know. That's why we took the cops. Now, I fully expressed to my mother that as a matter of fact, y'all, I got the text thread. So when I say this, I'm not being hyperbole. I'm not. It's not hyperbole. My mother said, I'm trying to figure out how to tell him I'm leaving. I said, you don't tell him because you know what's going to happen if you do. I said, and I don't want you worrying about him. I said, and I called her. I said, Mom, I will deal with him if there's a confrontation. You just worry about getting your stuff in my car. I said, you will not have to say one word to him. And my mother was so relieved to hear that she wouldn't have to, because now my request to the cop, if he showed up, was going to be, don't let him even come near her, because his presence alone would be intimidating. He don't got to say one word, just standing there is enough. What time should we all meet back on here tomorrow? Yeah, I said good. I ain't coming on here no tomorrow. Jesus Christ. Listen, now really. Okay, let me be for real. I don't know that I have the emotional bandwidth to do 3 hours of this every day. I know it's a lot. I know some of us are very invested. I know. And I'm not gonna do you the disservice of not talking about what needs to be talked about, but it takes a lot emotionally to recount all of this. And the other thing is, now, in all honesty, I have not had a good night's sleep in about, well, really, it's been a rough past week, because I spent last week knowing I gave Jared my TikTok. And he has it. Y'all, I'm telling you now, if Jared get on here, we ain't getting off no time soon. And Tyrone is a truck driver, so he can't stay on but so much longer. He drives trucks. 24 new messages. Oh my goodness, I ain't see that. A very serious discussion followed the live. It's a coping mechanism for survivors. He said no more tea, but here we are. I'm so sorry. I watched a video last night. Infant born still there, just graduated. Okay, the infant that you're talking about, infant born still there, no, just graduated, is actually the sister of this young man that's on the live now. That is his sister. Kayla Liddell, 1 hour. What are you saying? 1 hour more? Jesus Christ! If Jared start talking, I don't know if we can squeeze it into an hour. And I'm not being funny. Okay, so first of all, I'm being lighthearted, but I'm serious. Stay on till 11. Well, that's 10 minutes from now. What about next time? Talk about any good memories there. Did your mom ask you to come get her? Yes. Okay, so, and I will say there are good memories. There are good memories. So I will never write the narrative that nothing good ever happened. The problem is that the bad is so bad that it's hard to talk about the good. And the other thing is, I don't mean no harm, but for me, the good didn't happen as much as the bad did. And I hope I'm not being ugly by saying that. The good, like I said, I told you of 2 instances that I can remember that Ella Johnson ever stood up for me. And it didn't have anything to do with the organization. I mean, now he sung all of our praises as the first graduating class of that god-awful school. No, Jared, just go to TikTok. Do you have a TikTok page? Don't know how to on Facebook. Isn't giving me the option to. Just go to TikTok and it'll show me you came on and I can send. Do you have TikTok? If you have TikTok, just go to TikTok and add me. If not, that mean that Oh Lord. Okay, it's time to go. Y'all asking the wrong question. We gotta go. We gotta go. We got to go. Tyrone, you see that last question on TikTok? We gotta go. Y'all asking the wrong questions. Yeah. I'm not. I'm not saying the wrong questions like we don't have answers. I'm saying I'm trying to get off of here. I really want to hear Jared, the bad boy side. I understand completely. I have very few good memories of my father. I Cuppy Doodle. Oh, got it. Okay. I don't know who Cuppy Doodle is, but I remember Cuppy Doodle wanted to remain anonymous. Got it. Okay. At quo, pleading the fifth. Yeah. Okay, so I teach history. And the Fifth Amendment says, Jared is calling me on Facebook Messenger. Jesus bless this boy. Dear darling heart. Jared, Lord help the boy. Jared, I can't add you on Facebook Messenger because I'm live on TikTok on the iPad. You have to go on TikTok. Yeah, I don't think we're going to hear from Jared. He's currently experiencing technical difficulties. The wireless customer you're trying to reach in the Alta network cannot be. Jared, we're going to have to figure out how to bring Jared on Facebook and do it that way because I don't know that he has TikTok. All right? Okay. I'm not promising nothing about no tomorrow. I'm not promising nothing about no tomorrow. And I'm going to tell you right now, I definitely can't come on Wednesday because I have church on Wednesdays. And let me tell y'all something good. Make no mistake about it. I love the church. I love God and I love the church. Don't think that none of this stuff defines the church. That's what I need us to take away from all of this. Have faith is not the church. Johnson is not the representation of all pastors. All right? He's still sleepy. Yeah, say that. Because y'all starting to ask questions that I don't. It ain't even. My Lord. All right. So was he engaged to Natasha Lemon? The real question is how many times? Okay. Let's go. It's time to go. All right. What did the TikTok question say? Oh, God. The TikTok question said, was Dwayne Johnson Jr. engaged to another individual? And I really try not to put other people's names out there like that. So when these females go to college and live their lives differently, do they get punished? Oh, God. Oh, God. The answer is no. And the answer is no because of the fact that in many cases, they know how to kind of keep that on the low. But the other thing is, oh, Lord Jesus, please help me, God. Can we please pray? The other thing is, here's the issue. Okay. You go from being extremely sheltered to, oh, y'all in college now. Now you're grown and you do what you want to do except piss him off. You do what you want to do, but don't upset him. And I will say there was a little liberty, but they still kept their hands on us very, very tight. For instance, I'm 35 years old. Oh, Lord, Jared just got on TikTok. Jesus. And he had the nerve to send an invitation. Y'all, I'm supposed to be praying. We supposed to be praying. All right, it's 10:54. Someone said 11. And I think my clock is 2 minutes fast, so y'all got 8 minutes. Jared's on. Jared, 8 minutes, and I'm getting on for here, because I've been on here 3 hours and 15 minutes. These people going to give you blood pressure, classmate. Calm down. I'm telling you, I'm going to have to go drink some vinegar. Can the females date outside it? Oh, my Lord. Jared, go ahead and talk. Go ahead and talk. Can the females date outsiders? I'll say yes, but the outsider better be prepared to capitulate. If you cannot assimilate, you will not last.
What's going on, boy?
Jared, go ahead and greet the people. They've been waiting on you. That boy said, "How y'all doing, church?" That boy said, "How y'all doing, church?" This, this, is, this the new church?
Yeah, like you've been called up for testimony service.
No, I ain't lying. He's getting up to testify. All right, let me show. Go ahead, Jack. That boy said, "How y'all doing, church?"
You getting flashbacks there?
What is how y'all doing? What is how y'all doing, church? That is so stupid to me. All right, I'm done. Go ahead, Jared. Let me pull it together. They ain't gonna take us serious. They can't hear Jared. Let me shut up. I'm talking too much. Go ahead, Jared. You gotta talk up, Jared. They can't hear you.
Alright, so where do I begin? Like, this church is so mind-boggling. The way they put, like how Pastor Long said, the way they put families in such a dark mindset is crazy. Like, as y'all know, by now, I was the rebellious child, like the bad one. I made the beatings a little longer because I ain't gonna.
Jared, why did you make the beatings longer? Because I said I ain't going to tell nobody else's story. So you tell us, what did you do to make the beatings longer? Please tell, you said church, so please tell the saints, what did you do to make the beatings longer? Please enlighten them so they know what we talking about. What did you do?
I kept moving.
You kept what now? Huh?
I kept moving.
And what would you say while you were moving? No. Tyrone, what did he say? Negotiating. That's a good term. Please, Ella Johnson. Please, I'll never do it again.
I'm gonna tell you what happened.
I got to. Oh my God.
You don't take this beating so we can get ours.
If you don't get that beating and get up, so I can get mine, so we can go home, please, Ella Johnson, I'll never do it again.
I forgot about that.
Oh, I'm not going to forget about that.
I ain't lying. On God, everything that's sacred, I won't forget. Jesus Christ. All right, we got to pull it together because I got to get off of here. Please, Ella Johnson, I'll never do it again. And then the boy would turn around and do the same thing again. The last time you got a beating, you say you never do it again. We don't want to hear this again. All right, go ahead. Let me shut up.
Like, me and Tyrone, that's my brother. I haven't heard from him in a while. Like, he could be there most of the time. Like, I don't know if you okay with where his father would sit there and beat on him. Or, like, and I would have to sneak Tyrone food because he would stalk him for days at a time. Like she could play with him.
You had to sneak him food?
Yeah.
Dog, I didn't even know that. I do remember, Tyrone, I'm sorry, Jared. Do you remember, Tyrone, that when people would give you money, you would have to give it to us to hold it to keep your father from taking it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. All right, go ahead, Jared.
Like, it's a situation where he used to smack my brother all the time when I would go at it with him.
Jared, talk up. They can't hear you on Facebook.
It's like when he used to beat on my brother, smack him in the face, or I would run away. If I ran away, you know good, darn well, I was getting a beating later on that night. So let me put you on. So the one night I ran away, there was a church service at this other church that's right up the street. And I got a beating that night. I'm not going to hold you like that. 9, 10 o'clock, I go to the school. You remember the school that they had in the wooden oars that they put our hands to metal seats, and sometimes they would have the other softball pastors hold our arms to his feet while we're getting beat.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. Because that was happening every day. Or to the point where, like, Tyrone, I know you remember, because Tyrone was there to talk to me the one day, and I think Ron Gary left. I'm not sad up with the something we learned, and we're supposed to be able to preach it. And no one told me. Everybody else get the code. Oh, your mom got stabbed, your mom got stabbed.
Yeah.
Your mom dead, your mom might be dead. And I'm the last one to find out, but that's my mother. And I get told by no other than what's her face, pastor, the one that came on Facebook, Faith Johnson, and Red Suburban.
The red Suburban. Boy, that truck got some stories to tell.
It's a lot. And I get told by one of the staff, first thing I'm doing, I blacked out. Like, I wanna do something. But, Jerry, don't you do that. You're a man of God. This, that. A man of God, first off, like, because we're going to get into this. A man of God is someone who humbles himself to, let me know if I'm wrong, Pastor. A man of God is someone who humbles himself to the outside world to make himself better and knows God for himself. Am I right?
Absolutely. Humility is supposed to be one of the primary traits for leadership.
And that's what you started talking to me about when I visited your church. And like, it got so bad to where every time I tried to leave, I got beaten for trying to leave.
Jared, let me ask you a question because I didn't know this. I was gone by this time. How many times, if you know a number, how many times did you try to run away?
It was like 20 times a week I tried to leave.
Darn, the boy said 20 times a week. It ain't but 7 days.
I lied you not. I think Tyrone was in his father's truck one time. You remember when they came up that back road by that white church right there? Freaking, I had to, like, I was going to fight. I lied you not. True story.
That is crazy.
Back of a white man truck, and I hopped in the truck, and I closed the gate up, and I watched Bishop Grubster's truck go back. And I told the guy, if I could ever find his name, he knows the story. He was one of the ones that helped me run away a couple times, or I had to go stay in his house a couple times. But, like, I'm afraid to go back and get the living heavenly at him.
Yeah. So Facebook, I know you're having some trouble hearing. He's talking about how many times he tried to run away, and the fact that whenever he would run away and then have to come back, that he would get beat for running away. And the thought of when I run away, when I go back, I know that I'm going to get beat. I want to point out something though, that you've heard me talk about beatings. You heard Tyrone talk about beatings. You heard Jared just talk about beatings. And I intentionally didn't say anything there because of the fact that, and I hope at TikTok y'all might can answer this better. What is the one thing that you heard in common between all three of us talking about the beatings in regards to, let me say it like this. What are some similarities that y'all heard? Because they're saying we're lying. Now you have three different people talking. What is at least one, the teacher and me just showed up. What is at least one thing you heard from all three of the accounts that is similar? Jared, you can continue. They'll answer in the comments.
Bishop Grocer doing some of the beatings, but for some reason, Elder Johnson or whatever his, like, I'm not going to disrespect his title, but at the same time,
Okay, let me narrow the question just a bit because I want to point out one particular thing. What is one piece of furniture that has been mentioned in every one of these in my account, in Tyrone's account, and in Jared's account? What is one piece of furniture that was mentioned in all three of our stories? Someone said everyone got beat together. Yeah,
battle.
but it ain't no furniture. Thank you, K. A chair. A chair. The chair. The metal chair. Because everybody had to put their head through the metal chair. That boy said paddle. When a paddle turned into furniture?
Just saying, cause yo, like I was so bad, like I couldn't walk the next day.
Okay, talk right there, because I talked about this last night. Go ahead.
Like, it's to the point where you couldn't walk the very next day, and you got blisters and everything. Excuse my language on your behind, and everybody looking at you like you're what's that? Smart.
Kay, the answer to that is yes. I mean, they use them to sit in too, but those chairs are also used to whoop. You know, we had to lay across them, head through the hole where your lower back is, hands on the floor on one side, feet on the floor on the other side, and you are baby newborn, fresh out the womb, naked.
Or how about the time, Tyrone? I know you was in my class at that time when I got handcuffs put on me, and because I had to steal food because they was doing my mom some dirty. She left us for 2 weeks, and I went to the store. I stole some stuff for my siblings to eat. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think I remember that as well. I do vaguely remember you getting handcuffed and they got you out of. I'm not gonna say his name. Was your cousin involved in that too?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought so. Jared, someone asked, because last night I talked about the fact that I have my hip is 1 inch higher on the right side than it is the left side. And my brother Travis has, thank you, Miss George, I would love to see, and I'm asking very strategic questions because they're saying I'm lying about the beat. Dwayne Johnson looked me in my face and said the beatings never happened. Asked me how many times did I beat you? I said, how can I count? All right, let me do it. Let me do it just for the sake of proving the point. Tyrone, how many times have you been beat?
More times than I can count.
Okay, Jared, I hear your laughter. How many times have you been beat?
Same like Tyrone said. More times than I can count.
So I said that same thing to Johnson when he asked me this, and I said, how can I give you a number? He said, that's my point. If you can't give it a number, it didn't happen.
They delusional.
My hip saying something else, sir. So I'm sorry. The question was, do you have the issue with your hip being 1 inch higher on the right side than the left? If you don't know, that's fine. Have you ever had an X-ray and they talked about a misplaced hip?
Yep.
Well, there you have it. So that's 3. Tyrone, would you happen to know if your hip is off?
Oh, of course.
And okay, for the sake of verifying, did a doctor verify with X-rays that you have a misaligned hip?
Yep.
Yeah.
So here we are talking 4 young men who have a misaligned hip. Okay, fine. Okay, so let's do it this way. If anyone from Have Faith would like to prove this theory, I would gladly let you pay for an X-ray for me so that we can prove whether or not I'm lying.
Oh yeah. I got skull damage too.
Jared says he has skull damage. Go ahead, sir.
Like, yeah.
Now we can tell you got skull damage. We can tell that.
I'm dead.
Yeah, cause
That boy gonna call me on Facebook Messenger and I say get on TikTok.
you know, like I got stories today. Like Bishop Brelford or whatever his name is now. Like he he was like.
So we're teaching ourselves to speak of these people on first name basis. It's Tyrone Brusford Sr., Dwayne Johnson Sr.
Tyrone Brusford Sr. at the time, he was kind of like the, how do you say it, the guard of the church. So he was like the one,
Didn't I tell y'all that last night? I told y'all that last night.
The beatings, like, he will physically put hands on you. Like, you a grown man and you like 13 and 14. Like, what kind of sense does that make for a grown man to put his hands on a little behind kid? I was about the church to say little ass kid.
I'm dead. That's
That boy, what? Hold on a minute now, Jared. Didn't you come on saying praise the Lord, church?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm playing. Now, I don't use profanity. But I'm not. No. I'm not telling you what to say or what not to say because I'm not going to censor how you express your feelings. This is not that. And I know that I got preacher friends and preacher followers and all of that. I'm not trying to be disrespectful or nothing, but we don't get to tell somebody how to tell their story. So, I will say, please don't, just blast my ears with stuff. But I'm not gonna, we don't have a horn here for whenever you say a bad word. Beep, this is not that. Because, and now the reason why I'm saying that is, the reason why I'm even doing this, we have never had the opportunity to talk about this like this. Never. And here it is. I think that anybody with sense can see where we are aligning. I think anyone with sense can see that this is not coerced. I didn't even know Jared was getting on tonight. Tyrone texted me earlier and said, when the next time you're going live? So we didn't have no conversation beforehand. Because these are the things they're going to say. Oh, they put that together. And Devon is the ringleader. I'm so glad. I don't know how my name tastes in them people's mouth. But I'm telling you, it got to be the best thing they ever had because they won't stop using it. All of these other people that done got up and talked about sin. One of your classmates, Jared, talked about hearing people get beat in bathrooms and all kind of stuff. Yet nobody addressing all of these other people that's talking.
Pastor.
All right, so let's go. Someone said, well, y'all kept a lot of secrets. Someone should have told. Let me say this. Told who?
Nothing, and I don't want to interrupt because I know I got to head out soon, but for the person that said someone should have told, and this is not to come after you at all, honestly, it's just a trigger because it's like, until you actually experience the experiences of us, you can't just say somebody should have did something when you wouldn't even know what to do in that situation, for one. For two, yes, I have said here and there to certain people, even as a kid.
Yeah.
I remember begging when my mother and father, my birth mom and dad had split custody. I remember begging her not to send me back with them, and she still didn't know it.
And let me say this to that point. The other thing is tell who. We were not even allowed to. They kept such a watchful eye on us that we were not. If you were seen talking to somebody, okay, I had a great grandmother. So when you hear me talk about my mother and my grandmother has a father who he passed away last year. So he's my great grandfather. They came to some when I first met them in 2005. They came to the Memorial Day event because my grandmother in the church was coming down from New York. My baby sister was walking around with them at another event because we all went up to New York in July for what was called the feast. And my baby sister was walking around with them. And they stopped her to say, and they never ask you these things in front of people. Who was them strange people you was walking around with and why were you walking with them? And she said, these are not strange people, those are my grandparents. So the other thing is, I don't mean a bit of harm, but let's go. The thing is, they knew how to get their way out of anything. So even if we told and it went anywhere, you had the trauma of thinking, if this don't work out,
Exactly.
what happens after that?
You're gonna get your behind whooped.
So it's not as simple as, we can, and I told this story earlier of when I made a mistake. Jared, you remember the time you was hanging over the trailer playing with the tire?
Yeah.
What did you get beat with?
Yeah, I'm gonna hold you. I don't even remember.
Didn't Ella Johnson stop the van and he took the handle of the axe?
Oh yeah, it beat me on my behind. It broke it over my behind. Bro,
Now.
I got scar. I had splinters in my right butt cheek.
Boy, I'll text you later.
Like I'm not even playing. Like it's funny because I remember it, but like
Stupid boy says splinters in his right butt cheek.
I'm for real. Like I used to sit there in the shower and pick out the splinters because, like, as it was mentioned before, I'm always stopping like, sorry. Can we talk about this? I won't do it no more. I'm so scared that like they will make you count how many strokes they get.
I hope y'all listening, because he wasn't on earlier when we talked about beatings and we talked about counting. I hope y'all listen, because they swear out beatings never happened. But I'm going to shut up and I'm going to let the boy talk.
Yeah, like it was bad. Someone said, Lord.
You know, I think here's what I think I'm gonna do. I just got an epiphany. Maybe I should just screen record this part where we, talking about beatings. And since we like writing people letters that are blocked, maybe I should just take just this part and post it and tell me who lying. So we just talked about counting earlier, but they will swear out beatings that he's lying, he's making it up, he's manipulative, he just needs attention. Who want attention for this?
Who want attention for getting their butt whooped?
Who want attention for PTSD that make you feel like you're a kid when you have the right kind of a dream? Yeah, I was playing. I ain't gonna waste the time to try and screen record all that and put it up. The fact of the matter is, I think people see what they need to see and hear what they need to hear. Okay, so in any case, we did keep a lot of secrets. We did. And keeping secrets was about the best thing that you could do to keep your behind from being worn out. Because as I said, I was one of the ones. So Jared was the rebellious one. I was a talkative one. I told in 7th grade some of my classmates what was going on. Then earlier I told the story where I missed and slipped up and talked about Jared getting beat with the axe on the blue and white van. So if I got that kind of treatment just based on telling kids, imagine what happens now. In our minds, we want to believe that if you told an adult, the cavalry would have come in. How many times did it look like? The fact of the matter is, forget about keeping secrets from other people. If I had went and showed the behind that I had after Johnson beat me for the suicide letter, everybody over there would have went to jail. Why didn't I? All I had to do was go to the school, because I was still a student at Manor High School, couldn't even sit in the desk. How I'm sitting up in this chair right now, I could not do that, because my behind was literally raw. So I had to sit down in the chair like this, so that my behind was hanging off of the edge of the seat. All right, hey Tyrone, hit the road, and we'll talk, and we're about to get off of here.
All right, my boy Tyrone. All right, we're gonna take that all Tyrone.
You need to go to bed, bro. You need to go to bed.
Don't call a singing because you don't know how that's going to end. Don't even get me started on that.
So this whole idea of just tell, that wasn't a reality for us. Because, and the other thing is, let me talk to you about why not tell. there was this running narrative of if you, I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. They're gonna come and get you, and they're gonna put you in an institution. You're gonna be somebody's guinea pig. So there was this whole fear of we might be wind up worse than this if we say something. So it's not a matter. Yeah, we did keep the secrets, but we kept the secrets so that we can try and keep some sanity. Someone asked Jared, "How did you have the bravery to knock at my door those days?" I think that Taniqua, if you're addressing this to Jared, how did you have the bravery to knock at my door those days, man? Shaking my head.
Yeah, I don't know who Taniqua is.
I don't know if she was addressing that to. I don't know if she was addressing that to you. I don't know who that was addressed. Oh, it was me. I knocked at your door. If I knocked at your door, you sure it's me? Now it could have been my. What did I knock at your door for? What? I can't ask you on live. Where did you live? All right. What did I say when I knocked at your door? Now, my brother looks just like me. Was it him? I lived in the last house on Cooter Creek. Yeah, that had to be my brother. That couldn't have been me. I never knocked. That had to be my brother. I would think. I don't know. I mean, I don't. Okay, so let me say it like this. I don't remember that, but if you're saying that it was me, it could. That sounds more like my brother, but if I don't remember that, and that may be. I heard him. When that person don't listen, tell someone else. There's someone out there who will listen and help. Sweetie, you oh dear, you're gonna have to forgive me for not being that hopeful. You're gonna have to forgive me for not being that hopeful. These individuals were walking around the school. The principals. I'm trying to be very careful how I say this. Since I've been out, people who are mandated reporters said I always felt something was wrong, but didn't say anything when it was wrong. So I'm not trying to I'm not trying to be ugly. I promise I'm not. I'm not trying to be a butthole. That tell someone else stuff. After a while, you get tired of talking and nothing happening. And someone said, unless they lived in it, they can't understand. And that's the other thing. I do want you all to approach this conversation with the knowledge of you will hear things that you won't quite get because of the fact that even like I said a minute ago, us joking about the beating and the beatings. As much as we laughed and had a good time, every one of us have our own trauma with those beatings. And so, I'm sorry. I don't know how to, I only know how to respectfully not answer that because I don't know what to say to that. I don't mean no harm, but let's go. It took 16 years just for it to get some noise from me talking since I've been out. Now it finally gets some noise. This is why I get irritated with those who are saying, why say something now? I didn't just start saying something. It's just that people just started hearing. For whatever reason. And I'm not indicting people. I'm just saying the reality is in many cases, okay, let me go this way. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, God. I'm a history teacher. One of my favorite things to teach in history is the Holocaust. The reason that the Holocaust was able to happen is because of the fact that so many people knew something was going on in Germany, but didn't take the time to find out exactly what was going on in Germany. Go further. The U.S. turned away a boat of 900 Jews and sent them back to die in concentration camps. So sometimes it's, I know something, but I don't really. We were taught how to hide it. I don't know who this is. we were taught how to hide it really well, and we did. Whoever this is that asked to remain anonymous, I'm definitely praying for you, and I'm going to tell you why I'm praying for you. I don't know who you are. I really don't have a clue who you are, who you could be. But what I do know is that the trauma still got to be very real for you. Because the fact that you're talking the way you're talking means that you were in it with us. And you still don't feel safe enough to talk with your identity. And I'm not contesting that. It take a while to get this way. But, and the other thing is, I commend you. I commend you because of the fact that even anonymous, you are contributing to the narrative so that they can't say that we all lying. I wasn't there, but our lives are mirrored. Okay, so you weren't a part of us, but you are a part of something. Got you. I respect you, and I acknowledge your trauma. It's some crackheads and root workers on this live, so be careful. Yeah. You know what? Bless them. Bless them. I really. So here's where I stand with that roots and thing. I'm not one of those people that say, "Oh, that stuff ain't real." I'm not one of those. I do believe in the fact that charismatic witchcraft is very real and all that. I just really live by one verse. No weapon formed against me shall be able to prosper. Every tongue that rises against me in judgment. I love that verse, but the church don't quote that verse properly. Every tongue that rises against me in judgment, I shall condemn. I don't live in fear of what somebody is going to put on me, do to me, none of that. Because at the end of the day, the other thing is, if none of the scriptures work for you, let me quote your grandmother. If you dig one ditch, you better dig two. There was no way they could have known, though. Okay. Sometimes with these situations, you are extremely... You can be in the public and still not in the public. So please, I'm going to ask you all this. Please don't be critical. Because the other thing about these kinds of situations is when your story is met with criticism, it shoves you back into a cage because it reminds you of when you were told to shut up before. So even if you feel the need to criticize, I'm going to ask, please don't do it. People's emotions are raw, they're sensitive. Please don't discount how people are feeling. And please don't overly analyze or question why they didn't do or say or whatever. I'll give another example. It's no different than a woman whose husband is beating the snot out of her who will say, I know that my man loves me. Why don't she do something? Why don't she say something? I don't mean, Lord help me, I'm not trying to be rude, but why don't we just deal with what is and don't speculate about what we don't know? Because the fact of the matter is, until one of the things that all of us, okay, I see, and I'll respond to your message. One of the things that all of us have in common that were in that have-faith situation, even those who are in this delusion and can't see that it's a cult, we all have a thread that only we can understand. And that thread comes from this fraternity of we were all a part of the have-faith experience, the good, the bad, the ugly. And I don't mean, no, I'm not trying to be funny or exclusive or whatever, but the fact of the matter is, I'm going to be watching. Okay. Oh, mercy. Okay. Have you ever seen Ruthless? This is definitely this. Okay, so I told someone, I've never watched the show Ruthless, and I'm going to tell you why. I seen the trailer, and the trailer was too triggering for me. So I've never watched one episode of Ruthless. I've never watched one. But you all, let's hope Ruth makes it out. I know enough about it to know, I don't know if Ruth's trying to get out, but Okay, y'all, enjoy that. Yeah, I gathered as much. Um, and so, yeah, let's be careful not to criticize people's experiences. All right. Fire. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Cuppy Doodle, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all right. All right. So the request was that we pray before we leave, and so we're gonna do that, and then I'm gonna get off of here, and I'm gonna pray very specifically. I believe in targeted praying, and not for okay. I don't know what anyone's beliefs are, but yeah, I think y'all know I'm a pastor. I am gonna ask that if we because we're praying, please pause. Just any Cheryl, how are you doing? How are you doing? Please pause any, unnecessary kind of stuff. Not because I'm trying to be control and dominate. I just really believe respect God. I really believe that. So please, if you can indulge that, for me. And we're gonna pray. And this is not gonna turn into 5-hour prayer meeting. It ain't even gonna be 5 minutes. But the request was that we pray, and I do appreciate that somebody asked. I will say I've always felt the unction to pray, but I didn't do it because of the fact that I didn't want to seem like I was forcing religion on people, because I know that there are many people from all over that are watching this and that will watch this, but I love God, and I love God unapologetically. So with that being said, let's pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we come to you right now as humble as we know how. Lord, a lot has been said on here, online, over the past few days. And Lord, I'm so grateful that you are the God who sees and who knows all things. That's first and foremost. I'm also grateful, God, that you have caused, the Bible says, your word says, Lord, every good gift and every perfect gift, thank you, sir, is from the Father above, in whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. Lord, I believe that you have caused whatever favor to hit this moment, that everyone across wherever is seeing this, hearing this, and I believe it's a gift. I believe it's a gift. I believe it's a gift of healing to those of us who were silenced. I believe it's a gift of I don't like the term exposure, although that is what it is, but I think it's enlightenment is the word I was looking for people who just didn't know the fullness. I believe it is a gift. Now, Lord, I pray for those to whom are hearing these things and being triggered for their own situations, for their own experiences, for those to whom are feeling their own things. I ask God that you cause comfort to be our portion. That, Lord, as I recount and as others recount, as others think, this individual who is anonymous for whatever reason, Lord, I pray over their traumas. I pray over their emotions. I pray for their mental. I pray that the peace of God that surpasses all understanding will guard our hearts and minds. You said it in the word as a promise, and the songwriter has the song that is quiet, popular right now. The promises of God are yes and amen. I believe you to do what you said you would do. Lord, I don't know what's going to come of this, but I trust you, God, to let your perfect will be done. And it is in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen. All right. I'm going to get off of here because I told y'all I was not staying on here longer. And y'all negotiated, and Jared came and kept us another 40 minutes. All right. I'm going to get off, and I'm going to try to get some rest because, we 5 minutes away, well, about 4 minutes and 28 seconds away from being on here for 4 hours. Excuse me. And, so I think that we've been on long enough. Have a good night. I think that y'all are satisfied, so I will say I don't really intend to come on tomorrow, and I won't be on Wednesday. So I will ask that you please give me that reprieve. It's been Saturday, Sunday, now here we are on Monday. Please give me the reprieve to not have to come on tomorrow or Wednesday, just to gather my thoughts. And to get myself where I need to be. All right. Y'all have a good night. The peace of God go with each of you.